Is called in session. Invocation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman, it's my pleasure to introduce a gentleman that at one time was a good city employee. Now he's just a good guy. And that gentleman, he says great prayers, and that's why I asked him to come back, Mr. Steve Michelini. Please rise for the invocation, remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good morning, Council and visitors to the City Council. Dear Lord, prayer does not discriminate against any color, race, gender, nationality, or creed. Dear Lord, we humbly beseech you in your good and greatness. We are reminded of those who have sacrificed so much for all of us. Prayer is both a private and a public avenue of hope, strength, wisdom, and compassion. For every location is a house of prayer. Every soul is a vessel of the Lord's grace. Prayer is the world of truth, of power, greater than all of us. It completes the circuit. Those who pray do more for the world than any other action. Every challenge, every struggle, every objective, every goal should include a heartfelt prayer. We respectfully seek the Lord's blessing upon the teachers in their first week and acknowledge their commitment and sacrifices for our children. Please bless and keep them safe. To our first responders, our armed forces, and the quiet ones who are there when they're needed, and the unsung heroes thrown into difficult conditions, and yet they perform. Pray alone, pray with others, pray at night, pray in the day, pray on all and every occasion. Plans, work, and goals and objectives must include prayer. Strength and success rely upon prayer, and the good Lord is never far behind. Trust in the Lord and be thankful for the bountiful gifts of his grateful people. We seek your shield to protect us from harm and danger. We seek your strength to sustain us when we are weak. We seek your wisdom to assist us to find good solutions. We seek your faith to maintain our correct and honorable direction. In your holy name, amen. Amen. Flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Dingfelder. Here. Booth.
Here.
Maniscalco.
Here.
Citro.
Here.
Miranda.
Here.
Carlson.
Here.
Vieira.
Here. Okay. Couple of issues before we begin, or actually strike that. May I have someone move for approval of the agenda and the addendum to the agenda? Okay, motion by Councilman Maniscalco, a second by Councilman Citro. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, a couple of things. I was speaking with the staff yesterday because I bet we're going to have a little bit of a longer agenda. So we were planning on breaking around 12:30 for about a 45-minute or so lunch. Is that okay with everybody? Okay, at the time, I guess, if we will. And then I believe all council members also got my proposed resolution on the League of Women Voters. Has everybody gotten a chance to take a look at that? Okay, just making sure in terms of the 19th Amendment. And we'll take that up after public comment. Just wanted to make sure. Okay, first we go to ceremonial activities and or presentations. And number one is presentation of applicants.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Before we do, and I apologize for this, I just noticed on item 84, which staff requested to continue to September 26th. This was the issue about impact fees and as related to water and wastewater. And the reason I brought it up was, as you might recall, I said that new construction needs to help pay for itself in many ways and as related to utilities. I'm not sure about September 26th. I'm curious of when we will be doing, when we'll be discussing the water rates, because that's when this item needs to.
So they're requesting September
26th is what it says on our addendum.
Okay,
But
how about, Councilman Dingfelder, we deal with that, maybe?
I can do it then under new business and switch it then. Okay.
Yeah, but I have no preference on dates myself, and I defer to you and staff. Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I'm so sorry. Just for council's, a reminder to council, that by approving the addendum, you're not approving what's on the addendum, you're only approving adding those items to the agenda. So that item will still have to be taken up when you get to that number.
Sure.
Thank you.
Good morning, Council. Shirley Foxnow, City Clerk. We have two applicants vying for a position on the Code Enforcement Board. The first applicant is Randy Jackson. He will come and... Okay, come on.
Good morning, council members. My name is Randy Jackson. I'm currently a member of the Public Nuisance Abatement Board, formerly termed Code Enforcement. My initial term is ending, and I am requesting reappointment. A little more than 3 years ago, as I requested my initial appointment, I quoted President Thomas Jefferson, quote, "The care of human life and happiness, and not their destruction, is the first and only object of good government." Since that time, I can assure the City Council the Public Nuisance Abatement Board has done its part to ensure good government by promoting, protecting, and improving the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Tampa. The board, in my opinion, has and continues to use reasonable, equitable, expeditious, and effective remedies to nuisance issues and represents the interests of Tampa in the best ways possible. Now let me pivot from speaking about the board and talk a little bit about myself. Over the span of the last 18 years, I've resided in Tampa for 12. From 2000 to 2003, I lived in Beach Park area, South Tampa. From 2009 until present, I make my home in Arbor Green subdivision of New Tampa. I'm a retired military officer and former pilot. I am employed by the United States Special Operations Command, where I am Chief of Mission Preparation. My job with SOCOM entails sponsoring and advocating technology and other measures to keep service members safe and effective on the battlefield. More importantly, I'm a father of two incredible sons. My eldest is a senior at Brooks DeBartolo Collegiate High School, and my youngest is a second grader at Luce Preparatory School. They are the cornerstone of my existence, and they are why I work very hard in everything I do. Having that backdrop, I am applying for reappointment to the Public Nuisance Abatement Board. Here are the three reasons. Number one, giving back. I enjoy being involved in my community and giving back. In addition to said board's membership, I volunteer at my son's schools in various capacities and in scouting with my youngest son's Cub Scout pack. Number two, making a difference. I believe I have made a difference in each case brought before the Public Nuisance Abatement Board over the past 3 years. I add a unique perspective based on my background, experiences, and communities in which I work and live. I am also one of two board members educated in the field of law. And number three, civic responsibility. I am an example for my two sons, showing positive action and attitude toward democratic governance. As non-TV watchers, they derive many of their social behaviors and how to interact within their social environments predominantly through me. As I get older, it's abundantly clear that time is our most precious commodity. With my time, I try to make an impact on my sons, where I work, and my community and where
Thank you very
which I
much,
live.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Quick question?
Yes, sir, Councilman.
Sir?
Sir?
Quick question, I apologize. What, did you mention, what do you do professionally?
Yes, I work at Special Operations Command on MacDill Air Force
Oh,
Base.
thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thanks for your service.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. The next applicant is Carol Rodriguez. Doesn't look like she's here. You have ballots, if you can complete your ballot.
And there's only one position, Shirley?
It's one position,
Open.
yes. Would you like for me to go on to the second one while you're completing your ballot?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Shirley Foxnow, City Clerk. We have two applicants for the EBOAC, Equal Business Opportunity Advisory Council. They are, the first person is Rosie Paulson.
Do we have sheets on those?
We don't have ballots, but we have sheets for that.
No, we have two positions and two.
Okay. That's different.
I see. Thank you. Go ahead, ma'am.
What's the next?
Buenos dias. My name is Rosie Paulson. I have lived in Florida since 1988. My family and I moved from Ecuador, and I consider myself a naturalized Tampeña because I've been living here for almost 31 years. I'm married to my wonderful husband, Scott, for 13 years, and I'm a mother of 3 adult children. We came to the United States to live the American dream, and I have lived that dream. I have started 3 companies, and I sold 1. In 2015, I decided to open my latest adventure called Rosie Paulson Enterprises, where I passionately help small business owners succeed. One of the things that I teach my attendees or my followers is that they have to get involved in government and give back. And that's the reason why I'm standing here in front of you guys today. I have served in many leadership positions, but my latest accomplishment is that I am a commissioner for the Florida Commission on the Status of Women, and I have been appointed by President Bill Galvano from the Senate. I have a following of about 15,000 people where I have created this movement called Where is Rosie? And every morning people get up and wonder, where is Rosie? Today, they just find out I was at City Council. I decided to get involved, first of all, because Mr. Carson put a post in Facebook, which is very powerful, and realized that the city had a vacancy for the Hispanic American position since 2015. And I figured, since I now live in the city of Tampa, why not giving back? My name is Rosie Paulson. Thank you so much for considering me.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you. Our next applicant is Christopher Topher Morrison.
Good morning, Council. My name is Christopher Morrison. Everybody knows me as Topher, though. I'm a resident of Tampa. I like to say I'm a Tampa native. It just took me 30 years to find my city. I've been living here for the past 20 years. In my 20s and 30s, I was committed to helping people improve the quality of their lives, and I was into personal development, and that's what I did for a living. In my 30s and 40s, I transitioned into business development, and I got out of personal development and helped companies improve the quality of their companies. As I've entered my 50s, now I want to expand that influence, and I want to help the city to become better. And my first adventure to that was to run for mayor of Tampa, and while I didn't win, I can tell you that I support Jane Castor wholeheartedly, and I'm here to make sure that she succeeds in every way possible. And I would still like to commit my service to this city. During my campaign, I shut my business down. I did not want people to think that I was trying to run for office just to promote my company, so to eliminate that, I shut my company down. I have retained 8 clients that allow me to pay my bills and work about 4 days a month. That allows me a great deal of time to give back to the city, and I want to commit to my time and my energy to make sure that Tampa becomes the best it can possibly be. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Topher, I hope you're not ignoring your dog.
She's at home, frantically panicked that I'm never coming back. I would like to say, by the way, I've applied for multiple committees, and I don't know if that's allowed, but I wanted to just tell you that I'm happy to be appointed to anything that you see fit. My preference would be this particular board, though. Thank you.
Councilman Citro, did you want to opine on that?
I have legal back me up on this. There's only one serving on one quasi-judicial committee at a time?
Well, this one is an advisory board, as I recall.
Okay. Thank you, stood corrected.
But even though I believe your name, you submitted applications for 2 positions today, is that correct?
I believe there were 3.
3?
Yeah.
Okay, and this, okay, thank you.
But I'm here to serve in any way you see fit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Move to approve.
Yep. We have a motion by Councilman Escalco. We have a second by Councilman Citro. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Councilman Dingfelder.
And just for clarification, that's for both of them,
Yes, sir.
for both positions.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Going back to the Code Enforcement Public Nuisance Abatement Board, Shirley Fox Snow, City Clerk. The individual that gained that position is Randy Jackson. Next, we have the Variance Review Board. We have 4 individuals for one position, and that's an alternate position. Jonathan Godwin. Doesn't look like he's here. The next individual is Lee Lowry. Topher Morrison.
I'm happy to speak again, but it's just time, I think you know me.
Mr. Shelby?
The question is, this is for the Variance Review Board, I just want to be clear.
Yes.
So because this is an advisory, because he's on the the BOAC board, he'd be able to serve on a quasi-judicial board. I believe that was let me just double check that, but I believe that's, I want to be clear that that's the case. Okay, so but if you wish to speak, but I'll have the
No,
answer.
I've said what I think I need to. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Actually, I do have a question
Councilman Dingfelder is recognized.
from Mr. Morrison.
Yes.
Topher, I'll assume that you've watched the Variance Review Board periodically?
Occasionally.
Occasionally. And do you have any particular feelings about the VRB and any philosophy about land use that you might want to share with us?
I'm not too sure if the trees fall under the Variance Review Board,
They
but
do.
I believe they do. And yes, I've got some opinions about that. I think that our tree matrix for the city is vastly limited, only allowing basically crepe myrtle palms and crepe myrtles and palm trees, yeah. And I think we need to look at allowing this downtown area to allow more trees that provide better walkable shade. It's one thing that I'm definitely concerned about. I also think, are parking minimums part of the variance board? No.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. And I would ask and remind council members that please, before speaking, do ask to be recognized just so that we can maintain order. Thank you. Go ahead.
The next individual is Samantha Walker.
Good morning. My name is Samantha Walker, and I am seeking an appointment to a vacancy on the Variance Review Board this morning. As a commercial real estate attorney here in Tampa, I feel that I have the skill set necessary to competently and successfully serve in this role. My first experience with the Variance Review Board was this past October when I attended a meeting in anticipation of representing a client the following month. I was impressed with the thoughtfulness of the review and the discussion of the board members. Although reviewing 20 applications in one evening may not sound like a lot, as Councilman Dingfelder and Councilman Citro can probably attest, these meetings can run into the wee hours of the morning. As a board that deals with individual Tampanians, I think it's important for the board to be able to logically explain the steps that they took to reach a particular decision. My experience gave me an understanding and a greater appreciation for both the requirements and the demands of this board. Which brings me to the reason that I should be appointed. As I mentioned, I'm a real estate attorney. Day to day, I review surveys and site plans and sign elevations, documents that are very similar to those that are submitted with many variance applications. I've learned how to understand and read and interpret these documents. But a majority of my time is spent advising clients, both lay people and sophisticated developers, as to how their particular facts and circumstances fall within a law or a statute or a contract. My job has taught me to think critically and to ask the kinds of questions that would allow me to draw the correct conclusion. The Variance Review Board, this matches exactly what the Variance Review Board does, which is to review a particular set of facts and circumstances and determine whether the applicant has demonstrated practical difficulties or unnecessary hardship such that the variance can be granted. I feel that I'm particularly well suited for this position based on my professional career. Finally, although I have the skills that complement the skills necessary to serve on this board, I don't see any potential conflicts between this position and my legal practice. To wrap things up, both my personal experience with the Variance Review Board and my professional experience as an attorney make me uniquely qualified to serve in this position. I look forward to serving my civic duty as a member of the City of Tampa Variance Review Board, and I humbly request your appointment.
Any questions? Councilman Dean?
Anybody else? Okay. Ms. Walker, thank you for putting forth your name. I have one comment and one question. Stating the obvious, and Mr. Shelby can confirm this, you wouldn't be able to bring any other clients to the BRB with, you'd have to give those to other members of your firm and then probably recuse yourself or something like that.
Understood. Land use law is not something that we deal with very often.
Not a big part of your practice.
Not at all.
Okay. And then that's my comment. So my question is this, and appreciate the fact you've watched Councilman Citro and myself, and the whole board is familiar with the hardship concept, which is not always black and white. It's often gray. And I'm just wondering your feelings about that, in terms of judging that. Of course, in law, we deal with a lot of gray. So.
Yes, as you pointed out, this is something that I feel I'm particularly well suited to address. I think it's important that the board give due consideration to everyone who presents before them. I think it's particularly important to sort of pull out the facts and circumstances and apply them to the law. One thing that I hope to do on the board is to make sure that the person who's presenting, we're not judging them based on the quality of their presentation, but rather on the quality of the facts that are presented before us.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
And
And Councilman
thank you
Citro.
very much for understanding that it's the competent and substantial evidence that's presented to the board that their decisions should be based on. Thank you very much.
And I just wanted to say, when I was at Ogden Sullivan for almost 10 years, and I was on the Civil Service Review Board for a while there, for about 6 years or so before I got on City Council. So I know what it's like to have a billable requirement. I still know what that's like, less of a billable requirement, but I still know what that's like. And so I salute you for endeavoring to do that, because I know that's very difficult.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. Council, you have a ballot.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we move onward to the number 4, which is a presentation of commendation by Councilman Goods to Ms. Green.
My dear, come on up. My dear lady, come on up. Mr. Chairman, my esteemed colleagues, Ms. Lena Young Green, what can I say? Person who's worked in the legislature before, person who is committed to community. I remember the first day I met her and her husband many, many years ago. We tried to foster a good relationship with our little league football programs and the things that she does for that community of Tampa Heights. It's grown. She's been a focal point of that community. The gardens that she's helping the kids with, the murals on the streets, the Tampa Heights Junior League with those young people that you work with every day. Just a role model for people to understand you have a commitment to communities. Council, in 1984, Ms. Lena Young Green joined the Tampa Heights Civic Association through 3 mayoral administrations. Belize native has organized neighbors and pressured city officials for safe streets, civic participation, and redevelopment of Tampa's oldest neighborhood. From 84 to 2000, Ms. Young Green worked as a senior legislative assistant to former state senator James T. Harper, where she networked with Hillsborough County officials, planning commission members, and various state agencies. She currently serves on the Tampa's Enterprise Zone Development Agency and also acts as the Director of Government Affairs for the Institute for Research, Evaluation, and Policy Analysis, a consulting firm that advises government, education, and nonprofit agencies on public policy and grant writing. Her latest project is the Tampa Heights Junior Civic Association, which she founded in 1998. By combining government experience with grassroots organizing, Ms. Young Green has been instrumental in revitalizing Tampa Heights, and that's so very true, gentlemen. For 24 years, she has pushed for responsible redevelopment, culminating in a neighborhood plan that sets high standards for any building project in the neighborhood. The first in Tampa. That plan led to the ambitious project, The Heights, a $500 million urban village of residents, shops, residents along the Hillsborough River. But I have to say the church, I think that's my most joy of that church right there. You've done a heck of a job with getting that restored. And I salute you and thank you for the work and your efforts you've done. Thank you, Ms. Green. Thank you, Ms. Green. Thank you. Say a few words.
Councilman, it's a great honor for me to accept this commendation, but not so much on behalf of myself as on behalf of our community and the work that we do every day, the work that we've done in the past and the work that we still have to do. I thank you all for the service that you provide as our leaders in the city of Tampa to help us, community-based individuals, in achieving some of the things that we need to do in our communities. One of the things that we say, if not us, then who? And so we get up every day and we do the work that we have to do. One of the biggest joys of my family and I, because we consider ourselves to be a service family, is that we have to help to direct, guide, and influence the young people. They are our tomorrow. And if we don't help them become the best civic-minded citizens, then we cannot complain about what tomorrow becomes. So thank you for this recognition. Thank you for the impact that this will send to others to come and help us join us in all the work that we do. And I want you to know that I appreciate your recognition so much. Thank you to my son who's here, my granddaughter who's here. She's now following her path, working within the Junior Civic Association as our executive director, and again, working to influence tomorrow's leaders. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody? Councilman Carlson.
Ms. Green, I just want to thank you for your courage and persistence over the last 8 years. What you've done in many ways in the community is really important, and I hope that we can together make a better Tampa over the next 8 years.
I hope everyone hears that.
Okay, Councilman Citro.
Ms. Green, I've seen you out many, many times, and I personally would like to thank you for being our pipeline to the citizens, and thank you for informing us on the needs that your community has. You've done a great job. This is long overdue. Thank you, Councilman Goods, for recognizing Ms. Green today.
Anyone? I know Councilman Dingfelder, then Maniscalco.
Well, you know, I don't know how far back we go. It feels definitely in the decades, 20-something years. You're amazing, and I apologize that we haven't honored you before because you know, a lot of people come and go and they're valuable, but they do a couple of years and for whatever reason they move on. But you are a tireless fighter for your community, for the children, for our environment, for good planning and good neighborhoods and everything great about this community, and we appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Councilman Miranda.
Thank you. Again, Ms. Young, thank you for everything you've done. I remember way back, you've been an activist just about as long as I've been here. And your work with Senator Harger in the past was unbelievable for all of Tampa. And then you continued on that, which is something that you should be proud of, because activists don't get paid. And when somebody does something out of the kindness of their heart, that means they're really believing. So thank you very much for everything you've done.
Councilman Maniscalco.
Well, I'm honored to call you my friend. We met after I first got elected on this journey called TBX and everything else, you know, that it's changed its name to. But of course, your neighborhood and everything that you work so hard for is right in the center of it all. I've met you along with many other wonderful people in the community, and I would say you are a true treasure here in the city of Tampa. So there are no words to thank you enough for all that you do, because you work tirelessly day after day for what you believe in, and we sincerely appreciate it.
And I just want to say that I always think that for elected officials, it's really important that we lead public lives of values that really live up to people like yourself who, without pay or without compensation, you give back to your community, you advocate for others who don't have a voice. And I really think that sets a very high bar and standard that I hope that we all meet. So thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Morning again, Council. Shirley Fox Snow, City Clerk. The individual selected for the Variance Review Board is Miss Samantha Walker. Congratulations.
Mr. Shelby.
Mr. Chairman, this concluding your appointments for this meeting, I would ask that council make a motion directing me to bring back resolutions that ratify this on the consent docket at your next regular meeting on September 5th.
We have a motion. We have a motion by Councilman Dingfelder, a second by Councilman Niscalco. All in favor? Any opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Goods.
Mr. Chairman, I believe we have two more accommodations. One is the city employees that's next. I would like to defer that to be the last one, if I may, sir. We have two more accommodations. I'd like to bump Ms. Candy Lowe's up and have the city employees last, if you don't mind, sir.
That's fine.
Ms. Lowe here? Ms. Lowe here? All aboard? All aboard? I think a lot of us and a lot of council know when I say that they know what I mean. Gentlemen, I give these accommodations that are long overdue, that people have been putting the work in our communities for a long time. Miss Lowe has done something so marvelous for our communities. She has the Black Business Bus Tour she puts on quarterly, every other month, to bring prosperity to the African American community. Bring outsiders into our community to see the treasures that we have. And it's so great that you have someone who has the mindset to understand that's needed and to bring an economic impact to all of Hillsborough County. And her Black Business Bus Tour, I tell you, is a good visionary idea that she came up with, and it's been working. I know I've been on that bus tour several times. I always make sure I get my seniors fed on that tour that come from all over to come just to be a part of your program. I know many of you have been on that bus, and those of you who haven't, you need to get on it. It's an exciting time to meet new people, businesses that you would not imagine, and what they're selling, the products. And it's just with great honor that I honor you today, because you've been putting in the work, and I applaud you for putting in the work. Council, Tampa visionary Candy Lowe hopes to change fortunes for her fellow African-American business owners. In 2006, she launched the Black Business Bus Tour to help bring awareness of local Black businesses, with the goal of helping expand opportunities for current and future business owners. Her Paradox Bus Tours gained national attention in 2017 when USA Today profiled her success efforts in getting 150 shoppers on a handful of motor coaches that tour several Black-owned businesses throughout Tampa and surrounding cities. Gentlemen, that's amazing. A national trend has started with her, because it's starting all over the country now with her ideas of the Black Business Bus Tour. She's done a fabulous job of connecting small business owners to new customers and to educate folks on the business in our city. Ms. Candy, as they call you, let me thank you for the work you've done.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
thank you so much, Councilman, for this accommodation. I am truly grateful and definitely humble. It's always nice to be recognized, and I have recognized many people over the year, and I'm just grateful for you all today for this accommodation. A number of you all have been on the Black Business Bus Tour. Guido back in the day, Tea and Conversation, Luis Rivera Bus Tour, Tea and Conversation, Joe Citro, Tea and Conversation Bus Tour, Dean Felder as well, Bill Carson. Thank you so much for your support. I'm just so grateful for all of you all. We have to continue to move forward. We have to continue to move forward and recognize those small African American businesses. I've been a business owner in the city since 2003, and I know it's been a struggle getting loans and getting the things that we need to be successful in the city as an African American woman. And our businesses need help. Small African American businesses need help. And just a little push, just a little nudge. We see that in 45 minutes, a small Black-owned business makes $400 in this city. That's that push that gives them just a little bit more for another rent and another rent to move forward. I am grateful this morning. Thank you.
Any comments, Councilman Citro, Councilman Carlson?
Ms. Lowe, thank you very much for the things that you're doing for the community and for the city of Tampa. Please let everybody know when your next bus tour is.
Our next Black Business Bus Tour is scheduled for September 21st over at the NFL Yet Center. Yes.
Fantastic. Please get with me.
Thank you.
I'd like to provide some trips for the seniors again.
Thank you.
And I'm hoping to be on that with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Councilman Carlson.
Thanks so much for your leadership in every way, and in particular in this. What you're doing is really important, and I look forward to helping you and partnering with you in the future.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilman Dingfelder.
Candy, you're amazing. We appreciate all you do, and my wife reminds me regularly how great you are and the wonderful things you're doing. In regard to this council, just in the last couple of months that we've been on board as a new body, I think you'll see that we're pushing MBE issues, which are extremely important to the cause that you speak to, as well as affordable housing, which is, if people don't have anywhere to live, makes the business part of it that much harder. But affordable, attainable housing are some of the priorities that we'll be talking about and doing things about over the next couple of years. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Maniscalco.
Just real quick, you and I first met at Tea and Conversation back in 2010 when I first started getting involved and running in my first campaign, and I learned a lot. I still remember that day. I remember who was in the room and what was said, and it was an eye-opening learning experience. But you and I have maintained this friendship since, and I see your work out there, whether it's on Facebook or hearing it from other people, seeing it. Just like Miss Lena Young-Green, you're amazing, you're dedicated, and it's not about the money. It's about making this community a better place and giving back, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for the finale, gentlemen. We've got 3 of our own city employees with the Parks and Recreation Department. Everyone here? Come on, my ladies, come on. Gentlemen, it takes a lot to act sometimes. Sometimes people are fearful to act in certain situations. We have 3 employees that saw a situation and were not fearful to act. Some would say, or would call them heroes. They probably would say, no, I'm not a hero, I was just doing my job. I was just acting. I know something about that. Being a retired police officer, I've had to act several times. And people say, you were a hero, TV comes. But I was just doing my job. What I got paid to do, to serve. That's what you were doing on this particular day. Gentlemen, there was an incident on Friday, July 12th. A boy age 14 jumped into the Hillsborough River from the east side of the river at about 5:40 p.m. City of Tampa staff, along with 2 local dragon boaters, went above and beyond in saving the young man's life. Soon after the young man jumped into the river, it was evident that he was struggling. Once alerted to the emergency parks and recreation staff, Ashley St. Clair, Sophia Sittenberg, and Victoria Matty sprang into action to assist with the rescue. The child was brought to the dock at Julian B. Lane Park, where he was treated by Tampa Fire Rescue. Gentlemen, again, I say it's not being fearful to act. A lot of people get fearful and panic, but apparently these 3 individuals did not panic. I assume their training kicked in, and they did what they were supposed to do in saving that young boy's life on that day. So we thank you, this council thanks you. I'm sure the mayor's administration thanks you for what you've done. But I could not go, my office could not go without recognizing individuals, especially jumping in action for a young boy. And I'm sure his parents are very grateful that day that they were able to see this in the next day. So without further ado, we got some plaques or something. My aide has something else for me, gentlemen. She's instructing me. You know, Mr. Charlie, you know Miss Mary, she's instructing me. It is with my pleasure that we, the members of the Tampa City Council, honor Ms. Ashley Sinclair, Ms. Sophia Sittenberg, and Ms. Victoria Matty for your exceptional performance of duty on July 12, 2019, while taking the actions to save the life of a young teen from drowning in the Hillsborough River. The Tampa City Council is proud to recognize selfless acts of heroism and those who demonstrate fearlessness, leadership, extraordinary skills, and resourcefulness to extreme risk to self. That's important. Risk to self. These actions are in keeping with the highest tradition of the Parks and Recreation Department's commitment of keeping a safe environment for the community. This reflects great credit upon your character and values, the Park and Recreation Department, and the City of Tampa. Your decisive actions save a human life. The outcome of the incident would likely not have been positive without this intervention. On behalf of the Tampa City Council and the community, we thank you for a job well done. Thank you, ladies.
Would you ladies like to say anything?
Thank you very much.
Anything from council? Councilman Citro.
Don't go anywhere, ladies, please. Don't go anywhere.
Councilman Citro. Anybody else?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The mark of a true hero is when you put your life before somebody else, when you put your life on the line for somebody else. You three ladies are truly heroes of Tampa. Thank you for what you've done.
Anyone else? Thank you very much for your work and just your everyday work as City of Tampa civil servants. You know, in October, we're going to be beginning to honor City of Tampa Employee of the Month under the ATU union. And this really goes to what this council, I think, thought of when we began to do that, which is that everyday employees of the City of Tampa work really hard. You all make the city run on time. You keep our parks clean, the trash, everything. You name it, it's there. So thank you guys very much. I mean that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we move to item number, I'm sorry. Next we move actually to public comment. And before we go for public comment, and I'll wait till the room clears for that.
Excuse me, sorry.
Okay, before we go to public comment, I want to read a statement. We've gotten some concerns about public comment, audience, et cetera, et cetera. and I'll just read the statement and go on from it. City of Tampa, Tampa City Council welcomes public comment. However, as has been expressed by members of this council previously, recent behavior in the chambers at past meetings by those making public comment can be disruptive and disturbing. It is the right of those commenting to take whatever position they wish in the allotted time. The issue is the manner in which those positions are being made. We are conducting the people's business and will not tolerate conduct that is out of order. This includes, but is not limited to, yelling from those making public comment or from those in the audience. Please be respectful of the process and the volume of the speakers. Thank you very much. We are here to, as your elected officials, to hear the public, no matter what you say, whether we like it or not, and we are proud to be here, but we would just ask that it be done in a manner that is consistent with our decorum and respectful of this body to everybody. We appreciate y'all, and we look forward to hearing from the public. Go ahead, sir.
Morning, Mentes Not. The garbage the man just spoke about, he just said, I guess, might be directed to certain people. But people take 3 minutes out of their time. Citizens take 3 minutes out of their time to come down here. And they should be able to express themselves any way they want to, especially if they're staying away from profanity or nudity or whatever. But all this other nonsense y'all be talking is just basically to corral African people when African people try to bring to the light how we're being oppressed and the trickery y'all use against African people. When y'all get exposed, then you don't like it. You don't like the tone, you talk too loud, you look too ugly, you too black, you too everything. We don't like the way you express yourself. Express it the way white folks want it. That'll be just fine. If you do everything the way white folks want it, we can go back to Jim Crow and we can go back to emancipation and we can go back to slavery. That'll be fine. Supposedly some sophisticated white folks trying to tell black folks how to conduct themselves. Man, that's garbage you talking. Nothing more, nothing less. And don't nobody respect it. Ain't nobody gonna respect it. Because white folks had a constitution since 1776. And black people ain't had no rights. And we don't even have 3 minutes to raise our voice, lift every voice and sing. That's the black national anthem. Now you need to learn it. Now black people gonna lift our voice. Y'all can't silence us. Y'all cannot silence us with all this nonsense y'all talk and all these accommodations and all these recommendations and awards and everything else that's supposedly for black people in the black community. And there's nothing going on in the black community. Absolutely, positively nothing. It's worse. It's worse now than it's ever been. And y'all using trickery because y'all think y'all can trick black people. Y'all can't trick black people. We up on game. We up on game. You're going to try to bully someone into talking the way you want them to talk. It won't work. It'll never work. They've been tried it. Greco tried it, and Friedman tried it, and other ones tried it, and Buckhorn tried it, and it's not going to work. Been to jail behind it, and it's not going to work. I'll go back to jail behind it. You don't scare nobody. That nonsense y'all talking. Black people got constitutional rights. Y'all want black people down here begging. We ain't begging no more. 600 years of slavery and oppression against our people, against Africa, and we want 600 trillion for it. That's what we need to be talking about. We don't need to be talking about no garbage y'all be talking about. Black people got another agenda, and that's why I'm here. For black people agenda. I'm not here for your white agenda and to be bullied by no white man or ugly white man with glasses on. Can't be bullied, partner. Ain't falling for it, ain't going for it. 600 years of oppression and 600 trillion and white people trying to get out front in the reparations conversation. No, y'all white folks owe us $600 trillion and that's what we want. $600 trillion, not billion. Trillion for 600 years of oppression. And you'll never bully me because I ain't soft like that.
Thank you very much. Next, please.
Thank you, Doc. God bless.
John Mull, 4104 North Lynn Avenue, Tampa, Florida, 33603. I didn't know whether this was going on the monitor or not, but I was here on the 18th of July when Janice McLean presented some package to you. She didn't speak it herself. It was in a memorandum. I know some of you read it, maybe not more, but I'll try to read a little bit of it. I won't have time for all of it. I and the city staff have met with Mr. and Mrs. Mall and their attorney several times to explain and discuss what is required to be eligible to receive a mitigation credit from the city's stormwater assessment, both the Service and the Capital Improvement Association. I have exchanged multiple communications with Mr. Mall's attorney. The determinant of eligibility to award a mitigation credit is an administrative decision. I mean, you can't make that. Based on a demonstration that the property at issue does not receive the benefits afforded by the city's stormwater system. Then as the stormwater assessments are user charges, there are no exemptions or exceptions from the charges, as that would require that the other properties would have an increased burden of payment for the benefits. Well, I'm trying hard to digest that, because it says on my tax bill, I don't know if that's not, I guess that's not working. It says that it calls it assessment, and then it calls it a tax, and now Jan McLean is saying that it's a user fee. So what's the distinction between tax, assessment, and user fee, if there is any? I'd like to know where I could find that information, or perhaps somebody could respond to that today, if they would. And then what I found out, what the city wants, what's the difficulty, I've been doing this for 3 years, probably some of you have seen me before. What they want is a PE to sign off with a seal that my property does not distribute water to the city. I have put a berm around it. I've done 17 things to stop it from going. Well, the cheapest PE wants $6,000 just to take a look at my property. I think this is out of range for most homesteaders. So, and I don't know where to go from here. There was some direction that Mr. Dingfield gave me back on the 18th of July, but I'm still kind of, what's my next move? I'm still trying to get this mitigation credit that I deserve.
Thank you very much, sir. And Mr. Shelby, I know wants to make a statement.
Yes, Council, I just want to remind you that you may recall that the last time Mr. Mall appeared, he was represented by counsel on this issue. So I'm just going to caution council that council should avoid any discussion of matters at a public meeting where the city is or is likely to be a party in litigation without the concurrence of council.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Next, please.
Good morning again. Nice to see you. My name is Patricia Mall, and I live at 4104 Lynn Avenue. One of the reasons we came this morning was because we thought that the Angus Goss Memorial Pool was going to be on the agenda, and apparently, in my reading, it's
ma'am,
not.
if I may, Suling, if you could just turn off her thing for a second. It actually is, isn't it, on the Guido?
What, the Angus Goss?
Yep.
The Angus Goss Memorial Pool comes up item.
So it is on the agenda, ma'am, and you may talk about it now. Now would be your time to talk about it.
Item
And so, where is it?
Item 83. So now is your time to talk about it, ma'am.
So
Okay?
now is my time to talk about it?
Yes, ma'am, you
I
may.
can't talk about it at 83?
No, ma'am, now is the time.
Oh, all right.
Okay,
Well,
and we're gonna-
I guess I didn't read as well as I thought I did.
That's all right.
Okay,
it's
well,
long.
we're here
Go
in
ahead.
support of opening that pool. The community is very much in favor of it, and we would like to have your support on it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, please.
I normally come up here to read the Bible to y'all, but I'm giving y'all some scriptures at hand. Basically, you know, the way y'all mistreat poor black folks like me and Tony Daniels, y'all don't do it to everybody. Y'all honor the other people that honor y'all. But I was I have a Black Historical Museum, and they're trying to destroy it. So I bought some things down here. I want y'all to just look at it. These are children's shackles here, Negro women's and children. That's what I got down there in my museum. Drinking fountain, white fountain, and color fountain. Color only allowed by the Tampa Police Department. We say color carry out only. All this stuff. My brother fought in World War II. And this what he had to come back to. Junk like this here. And then that man got enough nerve enough to tell us what we can say and what we can't say. Hey, something wrong with y'all. Why don't y'all get y'all act together and respect us as people? And I got to honor this young man here because he do more than the NAACP and anybody else do. Look what y'all did to Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby is innocent. And here comes some ugly white woman talking about he raped her 25 years ago. Wait a minute. What y'all gonna do about the men out there killing them little school children? Good God Almighty, worrying about what a black man who he went with, and boy, that ugly woman look uglier than I am. I don't think he raped her. Lord have mercy. And things are going worse and worse because y'all got an ugly man in there like the name of Trump. And now we got a mayor that when she was chief of police, her name, I guess, James Casper, chief of police, she sent 13 police officers around there when we was having a memorial service at the church. Now that she's mayor, she's giving me a hard time anyway. But the thing about it, I'm being who I am and believing in the truth and got my trust in God. I'm hoping and praying that everything work out in our favor. God said this here. I don't have to tell you because I'm a Bible scholar. God said this, vengeance is here. And you know what else he said? He said he will repay. You don't mistreat people any kind of way and think you're going to get away with it all your life. No, you're going to have to pay for it. And you know what Jesus Christ said? Just before he came on the scene, that the Jews had a testimony, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Jesus Christ said, no, he got to do away with that. Everybody in the world will be blind and without any tooth. So Jesus Christ told us to, hey, respect your enemy. And so that's what we've been trying to do. Anybody could pull a hammer on a gun.
Thank you very much, sir. We
pull it back
it.
and kill somebody, but we're not that type of people.
Thank you
we
very
people
much.
that love
Next, please.
everybody.
Next, please. Thank you.
Okay, I know you're going to cut me off because I'm telling you the truth and you don't want to hear the truth. But God bless you. Going to tell us what we got to say. No. We have the freedom of speech just like anybody else.
Thank you very much. Next,
okay.
Please.
Can I get Tony Daniel up here and give him a blessing?
Sir, your 3 minutes are over. Thank you very much.
Tony, they won't let me bless. What you're doing, you deserve a blessing. My museum is located at 1112 East Scott Street.
Thank you very much.
Come there anytime. I'll let you take a tour of it.
Next,
You're gonna
please.
see some stuff you don't want to see.
Next, please.
Good. How you doing? Good.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to speak with you. I'm Kevin Plummer, the current chair of the board of the Tampa Downtown Partnership, and I ask for your support for the 2019-2020 budget presented to you for the Tampa Downtown Partnership and its responsibility to provide.
Sir, and Councilman Dingfelder just wisely pointed something out. That's actually under a public hearing, so there would be separate public comment under that particular item agenda.
Yes, sir. I can. I have to be patient. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, John. Next, ma'am.
Good morning, City Council. I'm the affordable housing lady with the issues. Since 2013, I've lived in affordable housing. I don't know if it's considered low-income housing, affordable housing, working-class housing, poor people housing. Now I hear the word workforce housing. I've worked before, I worked in the past, and I'm trying to figure out which one of these houses I'm going to fit in. I have these pictures. I don't know if I'm able to present them or not. At this current moment, I'm living in these type of conditions. That's mold and mildew. Code enforcement has been out. I would like to know if we can get some eyes on these agencies, okay? Code enforcement agencies. Get some eyes on these nonprofit organizations who are purchasing these buildings or apartments, and the conditions are deplorable. Now, I also want to know if it's true. They say decent housing for poor people proved too costly to build. Is it true? I'm gonna keep asking until somebody get an apartment or a building with the limited income for poor black people, poor brown people to live in without these conditions. I have a growing on my body that I never had until I came to Tampa, Florida. It itches, it hurts, it swells up. I have boils under my arm. I never had until I came to Tampa, Florida. They smell like 2 dead skunks. I don't care how many baths or deodorant I take. I only had this since I've been living in sewer conditioned property. That's sewer at the front door. I never could open the door. I lived in open pipes in the ceiling. Again, I keep asking, what type of housing will y'all give my poor people, brown people, and myself? This information here is all legit. It's by Hillsborough County. It's been going on since 2013. I have my paperwork and proof. Then again, I asked again, Hillsborough County Courthouse, let's be transparent. You owe me over $30,000. I need my money. That's the case. I need my money. Maybe that'll change my living conditions. I filed this non-child support case back in '97. The gentleman worked right downtown here, walking distance from the courthouse at the Longshoreman. I don't understand why the courts here in Hillsborough County did not honor it, but today we need to find out why. I need my money so I can live better. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Next, please. Mr. Craig Gross.
My name is Craig Gross, and I am the Vice President of Gold Star Awareness, and I'm also the chaplain for the state of Florida for Gold Star Fathers. A Gold Star parent is a parent who has lost his son or daughter in the war. And Councilman Citro, you had said that when these young ladies came up, they saved that young man's life. They put their life in peril to save somebody else. And I'd like to say that our soldiers do that every day. And freedom is not free, as many of you know. And I'm proud to stand here in front of a city council where we live in a nation where we're free. We are free people. And we will remain free as long as we recognize the fact that freedom is not free. I'm here to honor one of your councilmen today. My son was buried in Arlington National Cemetery, and every year, one of the council members here honors my son, Section 60, gravesite 8311, and there's an annual event called Wreaths Across America. And at that event, every year, wreaths are placed at our sons' and daughters' grave sites. And so I painted a picture. I'm an artist. I'm a professional artist by trade. And I painted this picture, and it is called Wreaths Across Arlington. And Mr. Vieira, if you would please come down here. I want to present this. This is a painting that I did for Wreaths Across America, and it's called Wreaths Across Arlington. And I want to give you a copy. That's so nice. In honor of what you do for my son every year. God bless you.
Anybody like to say anything?
Yeah, well, thank you. I just wanted to say something about Mr. Craig Gross. He's one of the nicest people on God's earth. And I always love to talk about the story of how we met through Tony. I love this story. I had written an article in the Tampa Tribune back when I had time to write articles on Jimmy Stewart, and it was during Christmas, and it was talking about It's a Wonderful Life, and how it was his first movie after the war, and how he flew, I think it was 19 bombing missions, including the last one over Berlin, and talking about PTSD. And then I got at my law office a letter from your wife, Tony, with this on it, with Frank on it. And I read it, and I got very emotional. And we became good friends after that. Yes. So that's thank you. Thank you.
Take a picture of this?
Yeah, we can do this.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, you know, I look at your Facebook page sometimes and I see the places that you go. And I'm amazed at the places you do go. When you take your son and teach him history, and not just Arlington, but black history. Look at your page. You go to a lot of places that people probably would, and I've never been. So I want to say thank you for the work that you do by traveling with your son, letting him see the history of America, the history of black folks, and just giving that good spirit of just honoring people and what you do. And if you ever get a chance, folks, his office is just filled with all type of history, black history, and I dip in there every now and then just to look at his wall. Thank you for what you do every day.
Councilman Citro.
Mr. Chair, I'm sure that's going to be hanging proudly in your office.
Oh, you bet, yeah.
We haven't seen it, and I don't think any of the people
Oh, I'm
at
sorry.
home have
Here
seen
you are.
it.
I'm sorry.
Here,
do I? There.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Anybody else? No, Mr. Chairman, just want to say, just to echo some of Councilman Good's comments. Every year, I know you take your son up to Washington. You do your annual trip. I know you go to Arlington. I even I remember I messaged you one day and asked if you would find a photo of a grave of a local Vietnam vet that born and raised in Tampa. That, you know, the picture of it wasn't online and anything, and you did. I appreciate that, but it's, you know, again, so important that you do this, that you honor these great American heroes, and that you take your son with you and teach him. So you're preparing that next generation, so they have this same appreciation. That's so important. And you, sir, I've said it before, you know, as a Gold Star parent, your son is an American hero. We will forever be grateful for his sacrifice to this country. Thank you.
And I'll say something which is interesting, and I talked to Craig and Tony about this, which is Craig gave me a painting that I placed up on my wall. Remember, you gave it to me about 6 months ago at the restaurant, and I was approached by Cindy Roberts, the widow of the late Mike Roberts, who died on August 19th, 10 years ago. And then I gave that painting to Cindy Roberts. Then come to find out, the same day, August 19th, would have been Frank's 34th birthday, and that was the same day that Mike Roberts was taken from us. So I'm Catholic, but I'm not overly religious, but by golly, that's got to be the good Lord. So that's all I'm saying. So thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Robinson.
Good morning, City Council. You know, I don't know where to come down here. Actually, I'm undercover working on the case. But the reason I'm down here is because the African American community saw in the paper that the mayor issued Executive Order number 3 concerning LGBT, and they feel that it is an intrusion on the Minority Business Ordinance. Now, I've researched it for the last 3 days, and it's not a problem with it as far as I'm concerned, okay? And I don't know if y'all got more experience than I do with the Minority Business Ordinance and the laws and the federal cases and so forth. But basically, the mayor's executive order, all it does is starts to track LGBT. Because right now, you couldn't do a disparity study if you wanted to because there's no methodology for doing one. In addition to that, there's no data to even start doing one. So what this executive order does is what is going around the nation. There's a 180-something page recommendation for LGBT to local officials to institute ordinances, or actually executive orders, such as this. The MBE program is an ordinance. Executive orders don't trump ordinances. This number 3 executive order, I've read it, I've had my legal boards, and I've had some of the feds look at it, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's basically saying, hey, we're a diverse city. That's what we want here. You've heard people before me tell you about black folks ain't got justice. And so LGBT does not have justice. But they've got a long way to go to get it documented. Matter of fact, some people feel that they don't want to come forward because they feel they will be retaliated if they get on this database based on the research I found from Philadelphia and looking at other entities. And I've sent Gregory Hart and had a long discussion with him about this. And both of us have come to the conclusion that this does not affect the WIMBY program. It's not going to usurp, put LGBT in front of African American or minority businesses, because this is just a tracking device. Some people call it a cloaking device, but it's a tracking device. And I want to state here, and Sal Torito did a good job of helping the mayor with this, and I want to say what it says here, is that basically this order shall not alter existing WIMBY SLBE procurement guidelines that are promulgated on a legal basis from a disparity study. So this executive order is a good thing to bring us to the 21st century, and it also has been shown from my research that LGBT organizations, if they get a prime contract, if they do, they most likely go and hire another minority to work with them as a subconsultant or subcontractor. So based on my review and my boys looking at it, we don't have a problem with it. So if the black community is concerned about it, there is no concern, because it's not going to usurp anything. If anything, it's going to enhance the diversity in the city of Tampa and the work that the city mayor is trying to get done. And I just had to come say that for the record, because there's too much ball and confusion in the community.
Councilman Goods.
Well, Mr. Robinson, again, I know you always do your homework, and I'm glad you're here today to speak, to give some light on the situation. We have not received that executive order or what you said Mr. Torito has given you, so I'm going to ask.
Well, no, it's online. All executive order, I got this right off the line. This is the third one she's done.
So even if it's online.
Oh, y'all never seen it? I'm sorry.
I think even if it's online, I think that legal should have given, council should have had that. It hasn't come through my email at all, so I'm going to ask the staff, get council a copy of those documents as soon as possible. I have received a couple of emails on that, and that was my next thing to call legal, but I've been given instructions to go ahead and send that to us, and we thank you for your research.
Yeah, we got too many good things going in the city, and we don't want to have a divisive, because this was seen as a divide and conquer out there with the people that don't know what they're talking about. And I know that we had, discussed, and so I just want to come here with the truth and let you know it's not an issue. It does not affect the minority business program whatsoever. It's actually just start a tracking system to start looking at and getting people that apply to the LGBT national chamber to register with them, and then the city can start tracking to see what's going on. And that's all. I just want to get it straight so it won't be no mess around here, okay? Because I got to get back to work on this case I'm working on. That's why I look like this. So. All right, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else here for public comment? Okay. Okay, next I wanted to, if I may, go to the 19th Amendment resolution. And I know, do we have anybody here from the League of Women Voters for that? Great. Ma'am, did you want to say anything on it, or? I mean, not to, okay, just making sure. Okay, well, may I have someone move the resolution, or move the, okay, we have a motion by Councilman Maniscalco, a second by Councilman Goods. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, it is so moved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And it's very important, I'm sure everybody read it, on the ratification of the 19th Amendment, and I think that if you read through the resolution, it gives what I think is a very good history of the 19th Amendment, which I always see as a huge down payment on suffrage, but not all of it, obviously. There were great steps. There's the 15th Amendment, then there's the 19th Amendment about 50 years later, and about 46 years after that, you got the Voting Rights Act, and today the job is still far from done, as we saw with Amendment 4. So we're commemorating a big step in that right direction. So thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Council. Okay, are there any requests by the public for reconsideration of legislative matters? Okay, being none, we will move to committee reports, consent items, but first we're going to do a very special ordinance, item number 7. Is anyone here from staff for item 7? This appears to be. Does anyone have any comment from City Council on item number 7? No? Okay. Councilman Dingfelder, are you okay with reading that, sir?
Sure. It is an honor to read this and to honor President Judy Genshaft in naming USF, one of the main boulevards out at USF after her and the hard work that she did in building the university as it is. I don't know how to do that thing, Joe. What is it like that?
Go Bulls.
There you
Yes.
go, go Bulls. Or go Gators. All right. All right. But in all seriousness, she did a great job, and we're proud to honor her with an ordinance by the city of Tampa renaming and designating that portion of USF Maple Drive located within the University of South Florida campus, USF, lying north of USF Alumni Drive, south of East Fletcher Avenue, east of Bruce B. Downs Boulevard, and west of North 50th Street, within the city of Tampa, Hillsborough County, Florida, so that it will be hereafter known as USF Genshaft Drive, providing an effective date.
Second. We have a motion by Councilman Dingfelder, a second by Councilman Maniscalco. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Chair, second reading and adoption will be held on September 19, 2019 at 9:30 a.m.
Thank you very much. We move to committee reports, and I know some items were pulled. Councilman Dingfelder, I know there was one you wanted to comment on.
Yes, sir. Item 13, if you want.
Okay, and we can, yeah, and we can do that before Councilman Citro moves. Was there anyone that was actually pulled, sir?
40.
Okay, and Councilman Maniscalco, you pulled one too, correct, sir? Okay, so 40 and 58. Before we go through these, is anyone here from City of Tampa staff for either 40 or 58? Okay, just making sure. Okay, Councilman Citro. Public safety.
I'd like to move it. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move
you
item.
wanna
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me, Councilman Dingfelder. Thank you, sir.
My comment in regard to item 13 is actually a positive comment. I'm sure staff will be glad to hear that. This is a reimbursement agreement between the city and 23 applicants for TPD recruitment program. And my question to staff earlier this week was, how are we doing on minority and women recruitment within TPD? I don't have the numbers back, and also veteran recruitment. But former Deputy Chief Bennett, who's now our Chief of Staff, replied and apparently included in this program is a significant number of minority recruits, African American, Hispanic, as well as women and veterans. So I'm glad we're doing well in that regard to further integrate TPD. Thank you.
Well said, Councilman. Councilman Citro.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move agenda items 8 through 14.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Citro, a second by Councilman Maniscalco. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, we have Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Committee, Councilman Goods.
Mr. Chairman, move items 15 through 23.
We have a motion, second?
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Goods, a second, I believe, by Councilman Citro. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, Councilman Dingfelder, Public Works.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The honor to move items 24 through 33.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Dingfelder, a second by Councilman Miranda. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, Finance Committee, Councilman Miranda.
Chairman, move items 34 through 39 and 41 through 44.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Miranda, second by Councilman Dingfelder, and a substitute. With the substitute. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Next, Councilman Carlson, and it's Councilman Maniscalco, Building, Zoning, and Preservation.
All right, I move items 45 through 53.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Maniscalco, a second by Councilman Citro. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, Councilman Maniscalco, Transportation.
Okay, before I do that, I did ask for just a couple questions on number 58. Before we approve it, would it be possible for this business to already be doing the work? I mean, is that something that does happen before City Council approves?
Well, I guess the question is, do you wish to have, staff member present to be able to
Yeah, if
address
there's
that
someone that
question?
could answer the question, just.
Okay. If we can, I think I would hope they'd be monitoring the meeting and be able to have somebody down here if we can hold that item down.
Okay, so then I will move items 54 through 57 and 59 through 60.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Maniscalco, a second by Councilman Dingfelder. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so we have two items being pulled, and we'll hear them I guess whenever staff is here in between our public hearings. May I please have a motion to open the public hearing? So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Escalco, a second by Councilman Citro. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we have item 61. Oh, yes, thank you. And may I have everyone who is going to testify here today please stand up and be prepared to be sworn in, and raise your right hand.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Good morning, Chairman, Council, LaShawn Dock, Planning, Design, and Development Coordination. Council, item 61 is AB 2-1915. This item is before you this morning for second reading. Site plan modifications were required between first and second reading. Those changes have been made. The plan has been certified by the zoning administrator and has been provided to the clerk. I am available if you have any questions.
Okay. Any questions from council on item 61? Okay, go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the council. My name is Garrison Cohen, address 401 East Jackson Street, here on behalf of the Loyal Order of Moose, Lodge number 912. Just here to answer any questions if you guys have any questions at all.
Any questions from council? Okay.
Second.
And before any public comment on item 61, if so, please come forward at this time. Okay. Ma'am, are you? Oh, okay. We have a motion to close by Councilman Dingfelder, a second by Councilman, I believe it was Maniscalco. All in favor? Aye. Oh, any opposed? Okay. Councilman Goods, are you able to take item 61, sir?
Yes. Order been presented for second reading and adoption, file 82-15. In order approving a special use permit S2 for alcoholic beverage sales, small venue consumption on premises only, and making lawful the sale of beverages regardless of alcohol content, beer, wine, and liquor on that certain lot, plot, or tract of land located at 3008 West Gannett Boulevard, Tampa, Florida, as more particularly described in Section 3, providing that all ordinance or parts of the ordinance in conflict or repeal, including ordinance number 8799-A, providing effective date.
Okay. We have a motion by Councilman Goods, a second by Councilman Maniscalco. Please record your vote.
Motion carried unanimously.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Next, we move onward to item 62.
Council, LaShawn Dock, Planning, Design, and Development Coordination. Council, item number 62 is AB 2-1916. This item is before you this morning for second reading. Site plan modifications were required between first and second reading. Those changes have been made. The plan has been certified by the zoning administrator and has been provided to the clerk. I'm available if you have any questions.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions from council? Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Hello, good morning. Alyssa Martinez on behalf of M2A2 LLC for 2353 East Fowler Avenue. I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Any questions for the applicant? Okay. Is anyone here from the public here to comment on item 62? If so, please come forward at this time.
Move to close.
We have a motion to close by Councilman Miranda, second by Councilman Maniscalco. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Councilman Maniscalco, can you, sir, take item 62?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I have an ordinance being presented for second reading and adoption. An ordinance approving a special use permit S2 for alcoholic beverage sales, bar, lounge, consumption on premises only, and making lawful the sale of beverages regardless of alcoholic content, beer, wine, and liquor on that certain plot, lot, or tract of land located at 2353 East Fowler Avenue, Units 7 and 8, Tampa, Florida, as more particularly described in Section 2, providing that all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict are repealed, providing an effective date.
Second. We have a motion by Councilman Maniscalco, a second by Councilman Miranda. Please record your vote.
Motion carried unanimously with Dingfelder absent at vote.
Thank you very much. We move onward to item 63.
Miri Samaniego, Planning, Design, and Development Coordination. Item number 63 is REZ 1943. It's a second reading for Euclidean rezoning. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone here for item 63?
Hello, good morning. My name is Oscar Raggio. I'm the petitioner. I'm just here to
report my presence, and hopefully everything goes through.
I believe it will. Any questions for the petitioner? Okay, anyone here to publicly comment on item 63?
Move to close.
We have a motion to close by Councilman Miranda, second by Councilman Citro. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Councilman Citro, can you, sir, read item 63?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I would, but first I would like to also comment that I was absent during the first reading. However, I was in my hospital bed watching this on streaming on the computer. So I feel confident that I can make this motion. I move to ordinance being presented for second reading and adoption, an ordinance rezoning property in the general vicinity of 2012 North 59th Street in the city of Tampa, Florida, and more particularly described in section 1 from zoning district classification RS50 residential single family to CI commercial intensive, providing an effective date.
We have a motion by Councilman Citro, a second by Councilman Miranda. Please record your vote.
Motion carried unanimously with Dean Silver absent at vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, buddy. Good luck.
Thank you.
Next, we move onward to item 64.
Mary San Diego Planning, Design, and Development Coordination. Item 64 is REZ 1944. It's a second reading for property rezoning at 4311 West Fifth Street.
Anyone here for item 64?
Somebody left me a little present up here. Steve Michelini, I'm here representing the petitioner, and we respectfully request your approval. I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for the petitioner? Okay, being none, is anyone here from the public here to comment on item 64? If so, please come forward at this time.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Miranda, I believe, and I believe a second by Councilman Citro. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Councilman Miranda, can you, sir, take item 64?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move file number REZ 19-44, an ordinance being presented for second reading and adoption. An ordinance rezoning property in general vicinity of 4311 West Fig Street in the city of Tampa, Florida, and more particularly described in section 1 from zoning district classification RS50 residential single family to RM18 residential multifamily, providing an effective date.
Second. We have a motion by Councilman Miranda, second by Councilman Escaco. Please record your vote.
Motion carried unanimously with Dean Silver absent at vote.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We move onward to item 65.
Mary San Diego Planning, Design, and Development Coordination. Item 65 is REZ 1945. It's a rezoning request to plan development. All required changes have been made to the site plan or in the city clerk's office.
Thank you very much. Petitioner? Anyone here for item set?
Hi, I'm Litza Rivera, and I'm here to, on behalf of Habitat for Humanity of Hillsborough County.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions? Okay. Thank you very much, ma'am. Anyone here to publicly comment on item 65? If so, please come forward.
Move to close.
Second. A motion to close by Councilman Miranda, second by Councilman Escaco. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Councilman Carlson, can you, sir, take item 65?
Move file number REZ 1945, ordinance being presented for second reading and adoption. Ordinance rezoning property in the general vicinity of 1327 West North B Street in the city of Tampa, Florida, and more particularly described in section 1 from zoning district classification IG general, industrial general to PD plan development, residential single family detached, providing an effective date.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Carlson, a second by Councilman Miranda. Please record your vote.
Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you, ma'am. We move onward to item 66.
Mary San Diego Planning, Design, and Development Coordination. Item number 66 is REZ 1946. It's a Euclidean rezoning for the property at 2002 North 49th Street.
Hi, I'm Ann McQueen. I'm the petitioner, just here to report for duty.
Thank you, ma'am. So noted. Any questions for the petitioner? Thank you very much, ma'am. If you're here to publicly comment on item 66, please come forward.
Move to close.
Second.
Motion to close by Councilman Citro, a second by Councilman Miranda. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Councilman Dingfelder, can you, sir, read item 66?
With pleasure, Mr. Chairman, move the following ordinance for the second located at 2002 North 49th Street in the city of Tampa, Florida, more particularly described in Section 1, from zoning district classifications RM16 residential multifamily to CI commercial intensive, provided an effective date.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Dingfelder, a second by Councilman Maniscalco. Please record your vote.
Motion carried unanimously.
Okay, and I want to stop our public hearings really fast, if I may. I want to go to pulled items 40 and 58. I see City of Tampa staff here.
Mr. Chairman, while they're coming up, I just wanted to make note in regard to item 83, which was a report from Parks and Rec on pools.
Yes.
They provided a nice memo, but I had some additional questions, so just in case they wanted to head over or something like that, so we can just keep things moving.
Okay. Whenever we get to item 83, or if they come before, if they are coming, I guess we'll see. And we're first dealing with item 40. And Councilman Dingfelder, was that yours, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
Let me get to it. Yes, in regard to item 40, Greg, you have some folks here on that. So just looking at this item and doing some research and talking to our chief of staff about it, this is an agreement with two different companies, temporary staffing type of companies, Mainzer Management and TechStaff, to provide temp staffing to the city to the tune of about $2 million. And my question was, and my question is to staff, thanks for coming over, is I recall this from the last time I was here, that we continue to use outside staffing company to help us. I asked Mr. Bennett how much we pay for this, and apparently it's about a 39% or a 1.39 multiplier for that. So let's say, for argument's sake, for every $1,000 that we might pay a temp employee, I guess they get 39% of that, or there's 39% on top of that. I'm not really sure. But the bottom line is that 39% to a temp agency jumped out at me. Okay. I'm very concerned that, I have no concern with these two companies, and I know y'all did a very comprehensive RFP to get there. But my concern is, and my question is, why are we doing this? Why don't we do this? I mean, apparently we've done this for more than a decade. Why do we continue to do this out of house and pay such a premium of almost 40% to a private company for doing that, as opposed to doing it in-house with our own very, very qualified and competent HR folks, including the ones standing here?
Well, thank you. Good morning, Council. I am Kelly Austin, the Interim Director of Human Resources, and I am accompanied by Mike Swain, Employment Services Manager, and Greg Spearman, Purchasing Director, and hopefully we can answer your concerns and questions this morning. The reason we don't do it in-house currently, Employment Services is staffed with 7. That includes Mike, and he has 4 professional employees. 3 of them are specialists. 1 of them is a background coordinator. And then we have 1 personnel tech who does testing administration, and 1 office support specialist. So the focus of Mike's team primarily is on serving all of the departments across the city as it relates to permanent staffing solutions, whether that's an addition or it is through promotion. That is the primary focus of the group. The group does all of the pre-employment testing for the city. They do promotional testing for police and fire. Mike's group also does classification compensation, so analysis goes through Mike's office if we are looking for a new hire and a fair and equitable salary offer to make before it comes through to the HR director. Mike's group does the analysis for us to determine if it's fair and it's equitable and it matches across the city. Mike's group also handles the analysis on internal promotions. So we got a lot of movement in the city, and that can be a good thing. People get new opportunities and they get promoted. However, we need to take a look at what is the appropriate salary to offer that promoted candidate. Many times the department will want it to go over the personnel manual prescribed 4%. So we do analysis on that to determine if it's the appropriate salary. We also take a look out across the city and across other entities to determine if the salaries we are offering are fair and appropriate, and if a job needs to be reclassified. They do the analysis on those tasks as well.
Kelly, could I interrupt 1 second?
Absolutely.
I hear you. I think the bottom line is, and Greg told me this a little earlier, bottom line is you guys are very busy.
Yes, sir.
You're understaffed to do this, so,
Yes,
so therefore you're hiring an outside group to help us.
Yeah, and there's some additional benefits.
So I guess my underlying question to you and the administration is, we're paying them, I don't know exactly what the number is, but several $100,000, $300,000-$400,000 to do this for us, and I can't tell exactly the length of the term, but I'll say annually or every 2 years. So for that kind of money, in my opinion, we could hire more folks to help you and your staff do exactly this, and we could bring this in-house and perhaps save money.
I think one of the challenges with that, which I would love more resources, I think everybody would, but I think one of the challenges is when you're looking for a temporary employee solution, when you use an outside firm, they have a database of recruitment that they can go to at the ready. So we never know at any given time what our resource need is going to be on a temporary basis, and trying to maintain that network or database of people who are only looking to work for a short period of time could be a challenge. And it would possibly delay our ability to fill those vacancies for the department.
Well, just in summation, I'm willing to support this year. I'd love for us to study the possibility of bringing this back in-house. I think with all the data that's out there and all those services that people sign up for and put their resumes on and that sort of thing for temp or permanent, I think we could probably do this in-house as well, and we could save money. So thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Councilman Miranda, does anybody wish to?
This is the whole city, including the convention center?
Well, the convention center has separate contracts that they deal with for their vendor that handles food services and things of that nature. But this would be a backfill for permanent city staff when someone's out on maternity leave or something like that.
And in addition, Councilman Greg Spearman, Purchasing Director, this was a cooperative bid with Hillsborough County and also with the clerk of the court. So they are partners in this solicitation with us. So it's bigger than just the city of Tampa.
But the dollar amount is just ours.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And Councilman Miranda, were you finished?
No, we'll find out between now and next year when the dollars amount compared to hiring and paying all the fringes and so forth. And that's what I guess we're going to look at.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
And Councilman Goods had a question.
Well, Mr. Dingfelder, you've done it again, my friend. You've uncovered something. I tell you, 39% is a lot. I don't care how you look at it. It's a lot of money we're giving these folks. And they may be doing a great job, and we always want good companies to do great work for us. But sometimes we have to look at our bottom line too. And we have a lot of challenges in the city, and to give that kind of extra money, I question that. And again, the deal has been drawn, but I think I'll be looking at this very closely in the near future. That's a very high number for me, and I just think we need to look at that very closely.
But there was, there was more than one bid. There was 5 bids?
There were 11 total.
11 total.
Yes.
I knew, but I saw 5. I remember looking at that yesterday.
Councilman Citro, then Councilman Carlson.
Thank you very much. Councilman Miranda kind of touched on it. That 39% that is paying above and beyond, is that going for benefits, insurance, and things like that? Or are we still paying that out of our monies?
No, sir, they would not be entitled to pension or benefits. If we were to hire them in the city as a temporary employee, after 180
You're
days,
getting
they would become
to where I'm
eligible.
going for. So that is the company that's staffing these people. That's their responsibility, and that's their 39%.
Yes, sir.
So actually, we're just paying the company, and the company's paying all those other
That's
benefits
correct.
and things. Thank you very much.
Councilman Carlson, then Councilman Dingfelder. Oh, you sure? Okay, Councilman Dingfelder.
Well, I think we don't want to go astray in thinking that if they're temporary employees, that they are necessarily getting health care benefits from that temporary agency. We don't know that.
That's a correct statement, yes.
Yeah. I mean, yes, they're going to pay their taxes.
Mhm.
What did they used to have a name for those companies where they took care of all your bookkeeping and billing? What was the name of that?
PEOs, I think, or?
Anyway, it doesn't matter. But anyway, the bottom line is, yes, they're gonna take care of that bookkeeping and the paperwork, the workers' comp perhaps, or
Yes.
those sort of things. But not necessarily health or retirement.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do I have a motion to move this?
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Escalco, a second by Councilman Miranda. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next we go onward to item,
Thank you.
yes, sir, to item 58. Councilman Escalco.
Yes, sir.
So I had a question on this. We would be possibly approving this or approving this today, the agreement between the City of Tampa and Williams Landscape Management for ditch mowing and maintenance.
Yes.
Would it ever happen that a company, before we approve a contract like we would today, would they already be starting the work? Is that something that would happen beforehand?
Councilman Scalco, it depends. We actually had a contract in place for this work with another firm that defaulted on the city's contract. So we were in a position of having to make sure that we kept the ditches mowed and maintained so that we did not have any violations or fines or complaints to the city. So we do on occasion will engage the prospective awardee on an interim basis.
Okay.
So we did engage Williams contract on an interim basis so that we would not have the problem with all the complaints and the flooding and that type of thing, because we were so far behind because the previous contractor could not keep up with the work.
Okay, and the reason I asked that is because I received a couple of calls from folks in, like West Tampa and whatnot, that the ditches aren't being properly maintained. They're trimming the top part, but they're not fixing the canal part, where the water's supposed to flow.
Correct.
And I said I would, I saw this come up. I wanted to see, do you or who reaches out to this company and says, hey, we're monitoring this. We've received some complaints that the work is not being properly done.
Correct. We actually have a contract monitoring plan in place with all of our contracts for services. And the Transportation and Stormwater Department, along with purchasing, have been meeting with the contractor because complaints and problems and observations the city was making that they were not able to keep up with. So we got to a point where we said, we need to discontinue this relationship and actually re-award someone who can actually do this work and keep up with the cycles that are required under the contract.
Okay, so you are monitoring it. I mean, it is
Yes, sir.
$539,000, and we want to make sure that
That is
that
correct.
amount of money, they're doing the job correctly, so we're not
That
just
is
throwing it
correct.
away. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Councilman Miranda, then Councilman
Thank you. For whatever reason, I never got 58 in my packet. It was somewhere in a mystery file, but anyway, that's fine. I just want to make sure, I remember back in June of 14, it was something similar to this. It was about ditches and stuff, and we hired a company. And if I recall, I'm going back to 14, my memory, it's that one cell brain of mine's got to work a little overtime today. But that company, there was bids, that was 270-some thousand. There was two bids and a 305,000, and the fourth bid was 400-some thousand. I forgot what it was. As it found out, from June, July, August, and September, nothing was done. They didn't have the equipment to do it, and therefore that bid was resented. Then I remember the two other companies. To me, there was something Yankee between them because the bids were so close together, and we find out, I think, if I recall, and believe me, I didn't have it, I'm just going by memory. The bid was so close that they were using the same personnel and the same equipment on two bids, which is against the law. Those two was taken out. And it ended up with a high bidder who happened to be the individual, I guess if I remember correct, that had the bid. So I just want to make sure that this is, that all these equipments are done, because when you go into a ditch, not only do you have to clean out, the only reason I'm saying this, because I remember June of 14, not that I'm smart or anything else, and I remember that the ditches have to have, I think, an 8-foot on each side clearance, and you have to go in with a heavy equipment, because there's some ditches here that are almost the size of this room, not as high, but almost as wide as this room throughout the city. And they had to dig that up with the special equipment. That costs a lot of money, and I want to make sure that this company or any other company that makes a bid has all the equipment, and that you're attesting to, correct?
That is correct, sir. The Transportation and Stormwater Department did have an opportunity to look at this company, their equipment, their personnel, and they're confident that this particular company can do the work.
That's
and
all
they've
I have.
actually had a contract for this service before.
No problem.
So, yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Boots.
Good morning, Mr. Spearman. How you doing, sir?
Good morning, sir.
Just curious,
this contract, is it falling under our right-of-ways as well? I see mowing, maintenance, is it falling under the right-of-way? I get a lot of complaints about mows not being done, especially on 40th Street area. We get constant complaints. I know Mr. Barnum has been up before several times regarding those issues. So is this a part of that contract?
We'd have to look, Councilman Good, at the specific locations you're talking about, because we do have some roads that are in the city and some that are in the county. And so unless we know the specific location you're talking about, I can't be absolutely certain that this would include those locations. This is primarily for ditch mowing, not the right-of-ways.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, anything further? Councilman Escalco?
Then I'll move the resolution. Item 58.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Escalco, a second by Councilman Citro. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we go back to item 67.
Mary Samaniego, Planning, Design, and Development Coordination. For item number 67, it's REZ 1947. Staff is requesting a continuance for this case as we continue to work with the applicant to make the required changes to the PD that were required at the first reading. So I'm requesting if they could be moved to September 19th.
Okay,
The
and
day
is
meeting.
the applicant, I assume, is amenable to?
Yes, and they're present.
Okay, and before that, is there any public comment on item 67, the continuance only? Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Dingfelder, a second by Councilman Goods, and Mr. Shelby?
Yes, if we can, just the date, the time, excuse me.
Oh, yes.
9:30 a.m. for second reading. It's September.
September 19th, 9:30 a.m.
Thank you
please.
so much.
Okay, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Item 68.
Mary Samaniego again, Planning, Design, and Development Coordinator. Item number 68 is REZ 1948. It's a rezoning request to Commercial General. The applicant is present.
Good morning. Braulio Grajales with High Point Engineering in Tampa. On behalf of CSE Properties, the applicant, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for the applicant? Okay, being none, is anyone here from the public here to comment on item 68? Motion to close.
Second.
A motion to close by Councilman Miranda, second by Councilman Goods. All in favor? Any opposed? I believe Councilman Goods, if you don't mind taking item 68, I believe.
I got it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. File REZ 19-48. Ordinance being presented for second reading and adoption. Ordinance rezoning property in the general vicinity of 5401 North Rome Avenue and 1526 West Mohawk Avenue in the city of Tampa, Florida, and more particularly described in section 1 from zoning district classifications, RS50 residential, single family, and PD plan development to CG commercial general, providing an effective date.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Goods, a second by Councilman Miranda. Please record your vote.
Motion carried unanimously with Maniscalco absent at vote.
Thank you very much. We move onward to item 69.
Mary Samaniego, Planning, Design, and Development Coordination. Item number 69, thank you. REZ 1954, staff requested this item also be continued in an effort to work with the applicant on the required changes. Staff is requesting this is continued to the September 5th, 2019 hearing in these chambers at 9:30 a.m.
Thank you very much. And petitioner, I assume, is amenable?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Any questions from council? Okay, anyone here to publicly comment on item 69 on the continuance only? Do we have a motion to continue?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Citro, a second by Councilman Goods to continue. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next we move to our 9:30 public hearings, and we go to item 70.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and council members. Jan McLean with the City Attorney's Office. I don't know if you would like to open numbers 70 through 74, open all the public hearings at this time. You have to take your action within the public hearing.
We have a motion by Councilman Dingfelder, a second by Councilman Goods. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, item number 70 is the adoption of the annual roll for the Stormwater Capital Improvement Assessment. As I've spoken with some of you, and the remainder have already been through this process, we appear in front of you each year, and we've gone through the process of noticing this public hearing where you will adopt the annual roll, which we will then certify to the tax collector so that he can send out the bills for the assessment. This is for the stormwater capital improvement assessment. There's also been a memorandum with any letters of comment or objections that we received and submitted for receive and file as part of the addendum, and I'm here for any questions. You do have to take your vote within the public hearing before it is closed.
And Mr. Shelby, do we take public comments on each of these items?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Also, council, what I would ask you to do for the purposes of the record are to receive and file the CD and the letters of comment and objection before you take your vote. So that's part of the record.
May we go ahead and do that before public comment?
We can do that now, yes.
Okay, may I have a motion to receive and file?
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Miranda, second by Councilman Escalco. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Anyone here to publicly comment on item number 70? If so, please come forward. Okay. We have a motion to close.
A vote first, please.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Anyone here wish to move this resolution?
So moved.
Any seconds?
Second.
A motion by Councilman Miranda, second by Councilman Escalco. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and motion to close.
So moved.
A motion by Councilman Maniscalco, a second by Councilman Miranda. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Good morning, Jan McLean with the Office of the City Attorney on item number 71. Again, we are here for the adoption of the annual roll for the stormwater service assessment. We've gone through the process of publication, received the letters of comments or objections, all of which have been addressed by staff, and this again would be the roll that's certified to the tax collector for the distribution of the bills. This is the annual process for the citywide service assessment.
Thank you. Any questions? Councilman Dingfelder.
Thank you, Jan. So item 70 specifically carved out the central and lower basin areas as compared to 71, which is citywide. Why the differentiation?
The number 71 is our surface assessment, which was established with the utility in 2003. This is to support the operation and maintenance of the entire stormwater system throughout the entire city. The special assessment for the central and lower basin is for those capital improvement projects in the program that we've identified 3 years ago now. When it was originally adopted, there's a program of $251 million worth of projects that will be done within the central basin, and so therefore we don't impose the assessment outside the basin because those properties would not be receiving the benefit.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, sir. Anyone, and thank you, ma'am. Anyone here to publicly comment on item 71? If so, please come forward. Okay, being none.
Mr. Chairman, again, please a motion to receive and file the document.
Thank you, sir. We have a motion by Councilman Escalco, a second by Councilman Citro. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, anyone wish to take this resolution? Move this resolution?
I'll move the resolution.
Okay, a motion by Councilman Maniscalco, a second by Councilman Miranda. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We have a motion to close item 71. We have a motion by Councilman Maniscalco. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Councilman Citro. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we move onward to item 72.
Okay, Sal Trito, Legal Department. Item 72 is with the downtown assessment, and there's somebody here from the Downtown Partnership to discuss that with you.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning. I'm Linda Raymond with the Tampa Downtown Partnership, President and CEO. We reside at offices at 400 North Ashley Drive. And I'm here today to ask for your consideration and adoption of a special assessment services agreement that is before you for a non-ad valorem through the downtown district to provide the services that are set forth in your work plan and budgets that are before you. Our budget will remain at the same formula it has been since 1996, and that is $1.10 per $1,000 of assessed property value. This next year, fiscal year 20, our budget is expected to be just under $3.2 million. And I thank you very much. We appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Apologies for the false start. Good morning.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this morning. I'm Kevin Plummer, current chair of the board of the Tampa Downtown Partnership, and I ask for your support for the 2019-2020 budget presented to you by the partnership, as it's our responsibility to provide services and leadership for the Special Services District. Since 1986, the partnership has served as Tampa's downtown business community connector, and our work strengthens Tampa as a city to live, work, play, and learn in. Yes, the partnership is well known for its Clean and Safe program. Its clean team is a dedicated group of professionals who are well recognized for their role as community ambassadors. They're willing to lend a helping hand, offer directions, assist stranded motorists, and accompany those who simply seek an enhanced feeling of safety and security. But the partnership does so much more. The SSD was formed in 1994, and the annual contract provides financial support for the work of the partnership that facilitates conversations and initiatives for downtown's enrichment that are above and beyond what can be accomplished by our other civic organizations and agencies whose heavy load of responsibilities preclude them from focusing on some of the daily aspects of city life. The partnership routinely offers initiatives that bring downtown businesses together. We administer focused informational series, public space activation, and events. The partnership's committee structure provides additional opportunities for community engagement and the prospecting of diverse perspectives and interests. Our development forums and member mixers are informational and social initiatives that allow business leaders to hear from their peers who share rich data and the perspectives on the business community, the business climate, and present opportunities for the future that lend themselves to strategic planning. It's efforts like these that led to the development of the Downtowner, the parking study that was released last year, and further support for the scooters. We advocate, distribute information, we host an informative and interactive website, and aspire to be an incubator for ideas and design thinking that will enhance the downtown experience. We proudly seek to foster relationships and bring together thought leaders who will create the ideas and the momentum for a diverse 24/7 downtown community. The projects created by Soho Capital, Water Street, the Holland Franklin, and the related group are just some of the examples of projects that I have a profound respect for. Projects like these are led by intelligent and thoughtful entrepreneurial pioneers who are developing modern and forward-thinking examples of the next generation of community assets and resources. This budget asks that you continue to support an organization whose basic premise is to provide leadership, activities, efforts that will bring harmony, consistency, and cohesion to the downtown experience. And I thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from council? Almost there, sir, almost there. Okay, if you're here to publicly comment on item number 72 that we're on, please come forward at this time. 3 minutes a person. Please state your name.
My name is Adam Harden. I'm here as a representative of Soho Capital. In addition, I serve as the chairman of the Heights Community Development District, which is synonymous with the Heights development in north of the river, north of the interstate, where I think we all would know as Armature Works, the new Heights Union office complex. First, point of order, I have brought 3 people who are signed up to speak as well, and they'd like to cede their time to me, so may I have 12 minutes,
let's turn off the clock for 1 second. Mr. Shelby, is that permissible under this?
Yes, with a speaker waiver form.
Okay.
It's the process we usually follow, if the council wishes.
Do you have a speaker waiver form?
No, sir, I don't.
May we proceed without it if we verify that the people are here? Is that permissible? Just to,
Yes, who are the 3
I'm
people?
fine with
At council's pleasure.
Lauren,
Who are the 3 people? If you
Chaz
could just,
Brock,
could you-
Lauren Mooser, and
could you just clearly state their name, please?
Lauren Mooser, Chaz Brock, and Julia Stewart.
And are you those 3 people who waived their time?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chairman, is that
okay.
acceptable?
Oh, yes, sir. I have
Thank
no
you.
problem with that. And how many minutes does that make?
Is that 12 minutes?
6.
Okay.
You get 3 minutes, and they each cede 1 minute for every one of their 3, so it's 3 plus 3.
I got it.
Thank
Okay,
you.
cool.
Thank you, sir.
I'll talk fast. So, in keeping, first to state what I'm here to accomplish, I would, like you to pass the special service agreement with the Downtown Partnership today. But I'm also going to request that our project, the Heights development, that the legal description and folio numbers for that be removed from the special service district. So we came down here last year to make that request, and unfortunately, the way the hearing got handled, the board was told there were 2 hearings, and then they closed the first one and voted on it, and Sal had made a mistake, so we didn't get to speak. So we conceded the issue, made the payment, and just asked for no services. No services were provided, and so now we're here before you again this year. So I'd like to first, describe what we've been doing at the Heights and why we believe that. So I'm also going to end this presentation with an offer for the Heights Community Development District to enter into a separate special service agreement with the Downtown Partnership to provide services that we need in the development, rather than what they're doing for the downtown area, which is really more specific to the downtown. So, the resolution that you're being asked to vote on today, I think, has some key recitals in it that kind of go to this point, but that the assessment will be assessed upon each such non-exempt property in reasonable proportion of the benefits to be derived therefrom. So, the Heights Community Development District is really different.
Councilman Dingfelder, let's stop the clock.
On the overhead, but we can't see it.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's not your fault. I think it's mechanical.
The monitors, please.
On our council monitors.
There we go.
I'm looking at it now. Are y'all seeing it?
Yes, sir. Okay,
Okay,
go ahead,
so
sir.
this is the resolution that you're asking, that you're being asked to take action on. And I just wanted to point out a couple of these, make a couple of points, and then really talk to you high level about what we're doing at the Heights. So, again, we're differently situated. We have a written agreement recorded in public record in the form of an 89-page development agreement and a subsequent operation and maintenance agreement with the Heights Community Development District, where we're already obliged to supply certain services that would overlap with what the Downtown Partnership is. That saying, we're fully supportive of the partnership. We're members, and we're willing to have the district, have a public meeting and consider entering into a long-term agreement with the partnership for things that we feel like enhance what we're trying to do. So, again, scope of services to be provided that you're voting on today, we can see that, these include items which the Heights Community Development District and the developer of the Heights have already obliged themselves to perform under the operation and maintenance agreement that I'll show you in a moment. So, gotcha. And again, in reasonable proportion in the amount of the assessment assessed. And I think, again, this is going to be the issue. I think probably you'll find that in the future this issue is going to come up with Water Street as well when they start to develop. So here's a copy of the, I'm going to go out of order here because I thought I was going to have 12 minutes, but this is the recorded O&M agreement that we have with the city. There's the recital recognizing that we'll undertake the operation and maintenance of the improvements which we've bonded and installed now. Here is the schedule that includes what those items are. So you can see the district, I've highlighted some of the key issues here. So, these really go straight to the clean team issue. As you can see, parks, signage is also outlined, monumentation, directional signage is also outlined in the Downtown Partnership Agreement. But we basically, hardscape, landscaping, and irrigation, the district has a long-term contract to maintain the whole district, which is 50 gross acres, 32 net developable acres. So we're already obliged to that. We make those payments, and I think if you drive through, you'll agree that I think we're doing a decent job with it. So to 30,000 feet, what are we really trying to accomplish? We came to you a few years back. We asked to redo the development agreement and the entitlements, and said that the story of the Heights would be about job creation. So we had 3 brownfields to remediate and a 68,000 square foot historic building to renovate, and we visioned that and came up with an idea that we felt like would help us to be that place that could recruit new brain-based jobs to the Heights. So as part of that, we've built a team around the project. You know that we've opened Armature Works. You can see here, a picture of the site. the new entrance to the park that we've constructed to accommodate scooters. And it was just clean there. You can see our cleaning crew here along the public sidewalk with their blowers, and that activity takes place daily. So they also pressure wash all the sidewalks. Is that my 6 minutes or?
30 seconds, I believe.
Again, cleaning crew, the security team, our marketing and special events teams. These are some of the outcomes of our marketing efforts. We passed 70,000 Instagram followers when we put these free public events that we sponsor
And I'll
out.
give you 30 seconds to finish up.
Okay.
I move to give them an additional 2 or 3 minutes to wrap up. I think it's a big question.
I agree with you. We'll give you an extra 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you.
But then that's it.
So, you know, I think that as part of the commitment that we made to the neighborhood, you know, that we would activate this area. So, you know, we, again, Armature Works was a $23 million effort. We've used that facility as a recruiting tool. You know, I've sat there in the market with, you know, with the CEO of a NASDAQ company toe to toe, and they're like, this place is cool. We want to move here. So, you know, this is the outcome of this team that we've built and these funds that we expend. So these are our current special event schedule, and I know that, again, we want to support the downtown partnership. We're here to offer today to request to be removed from the legal description for this year. We're willing to make just an unconditional cash donation for no services this year, and to request then to report back to you in 60 days once the district's able to meet and come up with a outline for an agreement that we can enter into the partnership with for a long term. So I brought the Community Development District's attorney with me. He's written a memorandum, which I believe Mr. Dingfelder has a copy of, and that I sent to the chairman, outlining the legality of the district being able to do that. I'm chairman of the district, the vice chairman's here. Of course, we have to take that under consideration at a public hearing, and it has to be passed by a majority vote, but that's our proposal. With regards to these activation items, you know, these are the monthly and biweekly events that we run, Moms and Tots, the average attendance. You can see that this, you know, if I say we do anything, I really mean them, but, you know, I'm bragging on them, but, you know, I think this probably is fairly amazing with the number of people that this brings to the, you know, uptown, the upper downtown area. So here's some photos of this activation. This is the Run Club. That was last night, bi-weekly 5K. Yoga on the lawn. The Heights Night Market. This was the Fall Festival. We're seeking to engage with GMF on this festival this year. Hopefully we'll be able to work something out with them to really advance this. The Heights Spring Festival, the Heights 4th of July Festival, our New Year's Eve fireworks, our tree lighting ceremony, Mr. and Mrs. Claus. So I think you have an idea of, you know, I guess our point is we don't want to be double taxed. We're willing to participate in the downtown marketing efforts, and we'd ask for your consideration.
Thank you very much. Councilman Citro.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. May I have some advice from legal, if I could? Is this quite the form for Mr. Harden's group to request that they withdraw from the downtown partnership, or is there other ways in which Mr. Harden and his group are supposed to do this? I don't know if it's council's purview to do this.
Okay,
We're just here for one thing. Go ahead.
Okay, Salesforce Legal Department. No, this is the opportunity for him to make that request. It would have been nice if it was done earlier, because that would have given you the opportunity to consider it. But this is the place for the request. He's indicating that he's doing some of the work that the downtown partnership is saying they're doing. My recommendation would be to ask the downtown partnership if there is any overlap and what it is they're providing, which services. Some of the services he mentioned, I'm not sure under their purview, and I'm not sure where there's an overlap if there is one.
Well, if we are to discuss that, isn't there a 30-day waiting period, or, excuse me, a 30-day period for us to go ahead and discuss this resolution?
Today there is not. There's a deadline for you to have to get this to the property appraiser tax collectors, and it's the beginning of September, so there really isn't any other time. Your decision today is a tough one. And the other thing is, I don't think you can pull out this year and try to come back next year. It's an all or nothing thing. If you move to allow him to be removed, we have to come up with the maps, which I think are available. We have to change the folios that are going to be going before the tax collectors, so they have all that information available. But today is the day that you have to make that decision. And if it's made today, then they're out. And if it's not made today, then they're in, and then we'll have to deal with that issue later.
Thank you for your advice.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Dingfelder.
Just to clarify, Mr. Trito, I think you misheard Mr. Harden. I don't think he has any desire to come back next year as part of the SSD. I think what he's saying is he would like to come back within 60 days with an alternative proposal for a side agreement that Mr. Malloy has given his legal blessing to. Obviously, you haven't had a chance to look at it, but that's not the issue in front of us today.
I heard two things. I heard that he wanted out this year and think about coming back next year, and I heard that he wants to make a special agreement with the downtown partnership independent of this agreement.
Okay. Well, again, and Mr. Harden,
he can clarify. That's how I heard
he
it.
can clarify because he's shaking his head no behind
Okay.
you, but
All
you
right.
can't see. But he has no intention or desire, he and his organizations have no intention or desire coming back next year.
Okay.
So I don't want any confusion on that.
Okay.
And if I may, Mr. Harding, can you come up and clarify your position to the extent it is within 45 seconds?
Yes, sir. Thank you. So we would like to be removed from the downtown special services district. We're not in downtown. So, but we do believe that we benefit from the marketing and some of the things that the downtown partnership does. We're a member. So we would like to enter into a special service agreement ourselves, the Heights Community Development District, directly with the downtown partnership, and, support them in a robust way. So
Thank you, sir. Thank you very
Thanks.
much. Councilman Goods.
Mr. Harden, Mr. Harden,
yes, sir.
what's the average you've been paying every year into the fund?
So, when we entered into this, the actual tax increment was below the floor. So, so now as we construct things, it will ramp up quickly. Last year, I think it was 17,000. I think this year it's 60 to 70,000. Next year, it'll be maybe 200,000, ramping up to more than $1 million fairly quickly with what we have on the boards. So again, we envision running a community that's similar to the agreement that you entered into with Hyde Park Village, where, we're responsible for the landscaping, the irrigation, the enhanced finishes in the right-of-ways, what we call the walk-off zone, where there's pavers that define the area between the parking and the pedestrian through zone. So, these are things that, as I showed you on the schedule, we already have a recorded agreement that we're responsible for. So we're, it's not a good use of funds to say that we're going to have somebody pick up litter from the downtown partnership, but we're going to have a full landscape maintenance crew who has to replace the plants, remulch, repair the irrigation, replace trees when they die. You don't parse those services. So,
Okay, so your argument is that, one, you don't feel you're in the downtown zone. Two, that you're duplicating services with your organization with the partnership, correct?
Right, that is correct. And in all fairness, if you're in downtown, you have unlimited height, unlimited density. Your transportation impact fees are waived. So we are not in downtown. I mean, tell me I'm in downtown, I would have saved $1.3 million in impact fees on the two large projects that we just constructed. So, but we are adjacent to downtown. We do benefit from things the downtown partnership does. We're a member of the partnership. We would like to enter into an agreement that would, look at activating Waterworks Park in a way that they have activated the downtown park. As I've told Linda, I was at the very first concert in the park. It was under the edge of the existing, art museum, and there were like 20 people there. So, and it's turned into something great. We would love to see this type of activity. We would love to see street festivals similar to what they used to do on Twigs, on Franklin Street. We have a lot of ideas. And so I think that we can really work out something that will be beneficial, that will augment the funds that we're already spending and be meaningful. So, I brought the attorney here. He wrote an opinion that we could legally do this. I think it was something that came up in discussions yesterday that Councilman Dingfelder brokered, and I, we're willing to do it. So, I'm asking to be out this year. I'm willing to, make a contribution unconditional. We don't want any services this year to the downtown partnership. And then, come back to y'all and give you a progress report in 60 days on an agreement that we've come up with to enter into with the partnership. Dan has advised that, community development districts regularly enter into agreements that are, say, 5 years long, 10 years long. And, it's not to say that we would not want to extend it beyond that, but I'm just saying what, ordinary quasi-governmental entity behavior is. So,
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And
Yes.
let me, Mr. Shelby, would it be permissible, I guess, procedurally for me, because we've had Mr. Hardin speak, as obviously I think given the robust issues he's entitled to, could ask the downtown partnership to state their position and response for a few minutes. Is that procedurally?
Council, it's the chair's pleasure, it's council's
Okay,
pleasure. This is a non-quasi-judicial proceeding.
Okay, just making sure, out of an abundance of caution. If someone from the downtown partnership wishes to, I guess, rebut for up to 3 minutes.
Hi, Linda Raymond, President and CEO of the partnership. Thank you for the opportunity. Yes, we've spoken at length with Mr. Hardin, especially yesterday on this subject, and we feel that the services that he's providing are on his private property, so our obligation is to maintain those public spaces. I understand the graphics that you just saw. He's going to do the infrastructure as far as the trees and things like that. Our clean team, I'll just outline that they do public spaces, sidewalk maintenance, pressure washing, that sort of thing, clean the gutters. So those are the services that they would perform. Also, we have the Tampa Downtown Guides that are in that area. Again, they walk on the right-of-ways. They don't go on the private property, so they would not be inside the parameters of Armature Works, but they would be on the public streets, helping the visitors. As you saw in his statements, all the visitors that are coming to Armature Works. So it benefits all of those people. If he has a stranded motorist in his parking lot, the guides would be able to help with that. If he has somebody who has a lockout, they would be able to stand by and help that person. If the lot is overfilled and they have to park remotely, our guides can help them and walk them to that safe place. If they have a flat tire, our guides will go on the property and help those. So those services he would be doing away with. We have been doing those services up there for him. I know he said he hasn't received any services. He has received services this past year. Also the downtowner, which we've had for 3 years and will be turning over to Hart. That's a benefit that is benefiting his customers, because the customers are taking the downtowner to his facility. Also our marketing, he's in our dining and entertainment guide. We do see him as part of the downtown district. He stated in his topping off to the mayor, and it was in the media, that he was very proud to be part of the downtown district. So that's a public comment that he made himself a week or so ago. I will also say that we have public space activation, as he said. We do a lot of that. I realize that he is doing a lot of that on his private property, but we could do the adjacent public space activation for him. We spoke to him about Waterworks Park yesterday, so those are other things that we would activate within the area.
Thank you, ma'am. Any
Thank you.
questions? And ma'am, Councilman Dingfelder, then I have a question. Go ahead, sir.
Good morning, Linda.
Hi.
One, I wanted to clarify, Mr. Hardin used the term Dingfelder brokered. I didn't broker anything. I just called these two parties together for coffee to try and mediate this potential conflict. So, and that's kind of where we left it, but I was glad to do so. Hadn't made up my mind, Mr. Shelby, because I wanted to hear all the testimony that we're hearing this morning. But Linda, I just wanted to confirm one of Mr. Hardin's concerns, based upon your knowledge of what's going to happen in that large project. He said, last year it was like 17,000. This year is 70,000, and then couple 100,000 perhaps next year, and then potentially, as Mr. Harden indicated, might grow to $1 million based upon the very large projects he has there. Is that consistent with your understanding?
We don't have any properties within the downtown district that's on record that have ever paid $1 million into the assessment.
But I mean, based upon your millage and their projections and their approvals, that's very possible, very likely, isn't it?
Depending on what the development is. As his properties are developed and as they increase in value, his millage rate, or not his millage rate, but his assessment would increase.
And there's no
over
cap.
The years.
There's no cap in the ordinance or anything like that.
There is not. Not
Okay.
at this time.
One of the things we talked about yesterday, and Mr. Harden mentioned today, was the opportunity for them, even though if they might not be a member of the district, but they're adjacent, for them to, if they were allowed to pull out, that they still might be able to contract with the district whereby the district could supply some additional services that Mr. Harden and his organization feel are needed. And he mentioned a few in terms of activating or better activating the Waterworks Park, perhaps some other marketing services, that sort of thing. I know you don't have anything in front of you, but is that something that you and your board might consider as a nonprofit? You're a nonprofit in addition to being an SSD, but as a nonprofit, is that something that you might consider?
Counselor, let me make one clarification. You are the SSD. They are contracted. So they would not be doing a contract with you. If Mr. Harden wanted to do that and the Downtown Partnership were amenable, that would be a separate contract. You are the district,
okay, and
you contract with them. So it's not you with whom they would
I
contract.
appreciate that clarification. That's a good one. My poor choice of words. So as a nonprofit, you could, I'm not saying would, but you could entertain a separate negotiation with those organizations to do some additional services down there.
It's possible. It's something our board would have to consider.
Okay. All right, thank you.
And I have a quick question, if I may. About how many members do you all have, member
We
businesses?
have about 245 members.
Okay.
And
Go ahead.
no.
Yeah, no, I mean, one of the things that pains me about this is to see a gentleman like Mr. Harden, who's been to call him a stellar anchor of this area is quite the understatement. I know we all agree on that, and it pains me to see this conflict from an individual who is an entrepreneur who has taken one heck of a risk that has paid off for the area. That does pain me. That being said, I want you to comment on something that concerns me, and I spoke to Mr. Harden about this, which is any precedent that this could send for other members. Is that something that is taken into account here?
It certainly is something that our board recognizes and is a concern of our board. We've talked about that at length, and we've never had a property owner be able to pull out of the district once they are in. So it does set a precedence to have a jagged district, if you will, and others to come before you asking for the same thing. We value his property very, very much. We consider it to be part of downtown, and we love him being in there, actually. We market it as much as we can, and it's an important part of the district for us. So.
Councilman Dingfelder.
Well, just to flesh that out a little bit more, how long have they been part of the district?
Armature Works or Soho Capital, 1 year. It'll be 1 year, September 30th.
Right. So it's not like they've been there for 19 years or anything like that. They were just added. If we decided to remove them, it's not like it's been a long time. And in addition, in terms of jagged, they're sort of over in a jagged corner of the district anyway.
Right.
I would assert. But that's all. Thank you.
Yeah, and if I may, what I mean by jagged is it sets the precedence for anyone else to be able to put a request forward to be removed from the district. So
that was my other question. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
That was my other question is, you and I talked about this briefly yesterday. Most of those 200 plus members that you have or businesses, folios that are part of it are individual parcels. You know, let's say I own a small building on Franklin Street. I've got 50 feet of frontage or 30 feet of frontage or whatever. I think that better describes most of the folios that are members. And I would argue, or at least ask the question, that this is an extremely unusual, large chunk of landowner that is very, very different than 99% of your members.
Right, and let me clarify our members, because we're a member organization that has 245 members, but we also represent the district, which makes up about 25 individual property owners, 2,500 rather, individual property owners.
Right, but the way I just described those folios, most of them are fairly small, less than an acre, I'm sure.
I'm not sure about the acreage, but we have large, you know, the office towers and the Marriott Waterside. There are very large properties within the district.
Thank you.
And we look at that, at Mr. Harden's project as being part of the future of downtown as well. So we think it's an important component.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Collect it.
Councilman
Thank
Booth.
you.
What is the partnership?
Oh, ma'am,
Ms.
ma'am.
Linda?
Sorry.
What are the actual numbers that the partnership bring in every year?
I'm sorry?
What are the numbers that the partnership brings in last couple of years?
The partnership side, the budget for the private side is about $550,000. The SSD raises about, this next year it will raise $3.2 million. Last year was 2.8. It was an 11% increase this past year. It will be.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, what is the pleasure of council? And actually, I'm sorry, strike that. Mr. Shelby, do we first need to receive and file?
Yes, I
Okay,
believe.
may I have a motion for
this
that?
one, wait a second,
Councilman
I don't-
Dingfelder, so move.
So moved on receive and file, not additional motion.
Maniscalco, second it, all in favor? Any opposed? What is the pleasure of council? And sir?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't make this motion lightly. I have put some time into this and lots of discussions, lots of hours and soul searching all the way up until right now. And I don't think we should get distracted with, you know, Adam Harden. This is not about Adam Harden. He is the executive representing these organizations, the CDD, various corporations, his partners in the back, et cetera. So whether or not we like or don't like Adam Harden needs to be irrelevant. But I am persuaded by the fact that there's been plenty of testimony from these organizations that these services are duplicative, and perhaps most important that they're not wanted, that they didn't, you know, he's told me personally anyway, and I don't know if he wants to repeat it, but that he had no great desire to be part of the SSD. At the time, it wasn't that much money, but prospectively, you know, 17,000 going up to a couple 100,000 going up to $1 million is a lot of money. And if that particular series of private or semi-private organizations doesn't have a desire to be in that organization, within the SSD, within which we control, you know, I don't think that we should make them do that. I don't think that that's what our relationship should be with that. I think that this is a very unique property. I'm not persuaded that this is precedent setting. We haven't seen any clamor or anybody else who, you know, quote, wants to get out. And I don't think we will. I just think that this is very unique. They've only been in for a year and they'd like to be out. But finally, they're seeking an alternative relationship. He's assured us that within 60 days, and I do know him personally as a man of his word, that within 60 days, he'd like to approach the partnership and approach us. Well, I don't even know if he'd need to approach us, because it'd be a private arrangement with the partnership, to strike an alternative arrangement with them to provide them with the services that they do desire, but not as part of the SSD. So with all of that, and as long as Mr. Torito deems that appropriate, I'd like to move to remove the Heights folios, and I don't have the numbers or the legal description, but I do believe that somebody does out there, to remove those folios from the SSD for this year, and consistent with that, I would move the rest of the folios for approval, I guess, by resolution.
Second, should we do it as two motions?
We can do it as two motions.
My suggestion would be if you get the votes to do that, then what should happen is that you move to approve the special assessment excluding those parcels.
And we'll do it as two motions pursuant to council's suggestion. So my motion strictly on this occasion is just to remove the, and I'll call it for lack of a better term, the various heights folios, which were added a year ago, to remove them from the SSD based upon the testimony and argument that we've heard.
Okay, we have a motion by and we're going to discuss it, but just for the record, a motion by Councilman Dinfelder, a second by Councilman Maniscalco. I know Councilman Miranda wanted to speak. Does anyone else wish to speak? Councilman Maniscalco, Councilman Coons. Okay, go ahead, sir.
Well, I echo a lot of what Councilmember Dingfelder said. I think this is a unique situation, a unique parcel. Armature Works in the area around it, I don't want to say it's like its own city, but it's sustainable in many ways because of duplicative services and whatnot. I've thought long and hard about this, and I understand where they're coming from, and I understand that something else could, another agreement privately could take place, from this point on where it's out of our hands. But that's it.
Councilman Goods, then Councilman Miranda.
Sometimes decisions are tough to make sometimes, gentlemen. This is one of those times. I thought long and hard about this last night. I had a conversation with both parties. Sometimes you don't get all the facts first until you meet with the other party, and then you put it all together. But for me, I look at that area as a separate area. It benefits from downtown. It truly does. But it is its own entity, and with the growth that's going to produce, it's a dollar amount there. When I look at the services, some of them are duplicate services. And when I look at dollar amounts, this could be a substantial dollar amount for that other party because of what's the growth. And when I look at that amount, I'm very leery. But I think that for me, it's going to be a decision to where I have to look at how does it benefit one, will it hurt another? I don't see it really hurting the other. So I'm going to probably be voting in support of removing them from the agreement.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Miranda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm taking a conceptual view of what I've heard from both sides, and presentation from Mr. Harden's group and presentation from the Downtown Development Group. And when I come up to a decision in my mind is that both of these groups are very intelligent, very good, very hardworking people who have made something go that wasn't there before. However, both of these groups had to know at the time that they signed the original contract what was going to happen there. Both parties knew, the service provider and the one that was paying for the provision of the provider. So in my opinion, they knew they were going to grow. I'm sure it happens that way. I haven't heard anything about a cap from either one of them. I haven't heard anything that would make me believe that at any time in the future, this is going to be worked out to an amicable agreement at that point. Certainly you didn't start with one building for development and figure, well, that's the only building that's going to be in this. You didn't start with one apartment. They on the other side said, oh, we're going to service, but it ain't going to be one building, it's going to be many. So both parties knew of what was going to happen. This is not new. This is not something that you had to buy somewhere else 50 miles away to make the agreement work. And in my mind, I'm going back in history, and maybe I remember one that tried to go out of the special district, and that was a restaurant that's no longer in business, and they were turned down by council. If I'm right, I'm not certain if I'm right. That's the only one I can remember in history. So I don't know if this is going to set a precedent or not, but it's certainly going to have an opportunity for people, whether it's 100 or 200 or 5 coming in, wanted to get out of the district, no matter where they're at within the downtown boundary. So therefore, I would not be supporting Mr. Dingfelder's resolution.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Okay, for whatever it counts for me, Councilman Dingfelder said something before that we deal a lot with gray, especially with the law. This is about as gray of an issue as you can get, in the sense that it's not black or white. Mr. Hardin makes some good points that I think we can all be sympathetic to, especially any of those who have ever gone into a business and deal with onerous regulations, assessment fees, et cetera. That's certainly something that's very difficult. You can put on the one hand that's a cost of doing business, but on the other hand there's something that can be fundamentally unfair about this. I however, will side in not voting for Councilman Dingfelder's position. I do believe that this does set what I think is a very unfortunate precedent, as I said before, with districts. I sympathize with the point that Mr. Councilman Dingfelder said, which is that this group just joined it approximately a year ago, but still it sets a precedent that could really, really be very detrimental to future development in this and other areas. And that's something that is very, very powerful that cannot be overlooked, no matter how sympathetic this particular gentleman and group's position is. And frankly, I don't see a viable alternative that is going to be enforceable and that is going to come forward if this motion passes. All that I see is potential detriment and very, very negative precedent that is going to hurt this city, hurt development, and hurt the downtown area. Therefore, I will be voting against this. Anyone else? Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Dingfelder, a second by Councilman Maniscalco. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Roll call.
Dingfelder,
Yes.
Goose,
Yes.
Maniscalco,
Yes?
Vieira,
No.
Citro,
No.
Miranda,
No.
Carson. No. Motion failed with Vieira, Citro, Miranda, and Carson voting no.
Okay, next we have the resolution. What's the pleasure of council?
Move the resolution.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Citro to move the resolution. Do we have a second? We have a second by Councilman Miranda. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Any-
I'm sorry, could you announce that, please?
Motion carried with Dingfelder, Goose voting no, and Maniscalco absent at vote.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, before you close the public hearing, a reminder, you also have another resolution, Part B, actually approving the special services agreement.
Okay, of this, with
Of this
70,
particular,
okay.
within this particular public hearing. No, I'm sorry.
The contract,
I'm sorry.
okay, I'm sorry, you can close the public hearing on the assessment. You don't have to be in the public hearing to approve the agreement.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
So we have a motion by Councilman Miranda. Do we have a second?
Second.
Councilman Citro, all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, aye. Any opposed?
And now the resolution.
And now
And
the
now the
resolution?
second resolution, the
Okay,
service agreement.
I think we just voted on that. That was, okay, well, that was, I guess,
What?
okay.
Was that the motion to close, Madam Clerk?
No, that was the resolution.
That was, okay.
Yeah, and now we'll do the closure. May I have a motion to close?
Second.
We have a motion to close by Councilman Miranda, second by Councilman Citro. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we go to item 73.
Yes.
Yes. Do you need a revote on that? I mean, were you?
We voted on the first one, was 4-2.
Four to,
4-2. We voted on my motion, it was 4-3. Motion died, fine. And then the next one was on the actual resolution for the assessment, 4-2. And I don't know that we had a formal vote on the next one.
let's do it. I have an abundance of caution.
All right, Dingfelder,
No.
Goose. Vieira,
Yes.
Citro.
Yes.
Miranda. Carson. Motion carried with Dingfelder, Goose voting no, Maniscalco absent at vote.
And Madam Clerk, if I may inquire, for the purposes of the record, the public hearing is closed? Thank you.
Onward to 73.
Okay, 73 is the South Turtle Legal Department. 73 is for the streetcar, and there, again, there is someone here to discuss that with you.
Thank you.
There is a typo on the the addendum, some of the numbers got confused, but I think we're okay moving forward on these items. You have received all of the memos that you need to receive, maybe not in the designation that they were given, but they are here properly.
Anyone here for 73?
Historic streetcar.
Mr. Chairman and whoever's the acting chairman and members, my name is Michael English. I live at 10302 4 Drive in Tampa, in Forest Hills, on the Babes of Harris Golf Course. I'm here today representing the Tampa Historic Streetcar Board of Directors. We are asking you to continue to support the streetcar special assessment, which has been underway for almost 20 years, and it remains a very important component of our financing. I have Ms. Ruthie Reyes with me today, who's a member of HART's management team, if you have any technical questions, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Do you have any questions for the gentleman? Councilman Dinkfelder?
Mr. English, thank you for your decades of service and support of the streetcar and other issues in our community. Talk to us about ridership. I know the DOT has gave us this grant. How long is the grant going to last, and what's the impact on ridership?
Well, it's been huge. The Department of Transportation, District 7, and David Gwynn, Secretary, agreed to give us basically $3 million, just under $1 million a year, and they asked that be applied to reducing fares to zero, which has, of course, been very popular. We have also begun morning service. We begin at 7 in the morning. We run until 11 or 12 during the week, and then much later hours on weekends. We have reduced, many of you remember trying to wait for the streetcar and it's 20 minutes and people don't like it. We're down to 15-minute headways throughout our service. So our ridership has more than tripled. Last year we carried about 300,000 people. Most of them are visitors to Ybor City. This year we're not going to hit 1 million, but we're going to come really close. Well over 800,000 people, possibly 900,000. Our year is over. We have 2 more months in the year. So the streetcar, HART is doing a great job of operating it. They're much busier than they used to be. And this can go on for 3 years, Mr. Dingfelder, at which time HART and the city and the mayor will really need to think through how to replace that $1 million, because people are going to be probably pretty used to it by then. We're hoping that the discussions going on between HART and the city to do with the extension of the streetcar will include some consideration of operating funding in the future. So for now, the $1 million that we receive from the special assessment, which is really your special assessment, is invaluable. I mean, it's a lot of it's almost half of our budget. So.
One other quick question. Yes. Thank you, Mr. English. One other quick question in regard to the future expansion. Mm-hmm. It appears that everybody is researching the opportunity to expand this up to up above the interstate into the southern part of Tampa Heights.
Yes.
Which I think is very exciting, to come up through downtown, up Florida, down Tampa, and that sort of thing. A long time ago, I remember, and I think I served on this board, that board, the streetcar board. I remember its discussion about looping it over, maybe down Palm or 7th or something like that, to get back to Ybor in a quicker fashion.
Exactly. You know, that was always an option that we talked about when the thing was built originally, and when the city and the county were talking to the Tampa Bay Rays about possibly locating Ybor City, it really did make sense to consider a loop that would allow you to start at either end of the system and go in any direction, which is really what a transit system would ideally do. And that may still be possible. I personally have always been in favor of that loop, but I love the idea that it's going up into the heights and really will allow a rider to get on or off the streetcar at either end and go entirely through the urban center on one vehicle, one trip. So It's all about the money, you know, not just the capital costs, but the operating costs. So I don't think a loop is out of a consideration. It
You just think it might be the next phase?
It could be. You know, people want the streetcar to go north into Seminole Heights, out to USF. People want it to go to the airport. All those are great ideas. It's just about the money.
Thank you, Mike.
Councilman, were you first or?
Go ahead, go ahead.
We'll go Carlson
Mr.
first.
Carlson.
Thank you. Thanks for your leadership on this. If I recall, there's been a discussion about changing the technology, the type of car, so that it will go faster. And then I also hear, I'm in favor of that because I think it would be great for it to go faster. But I hear some feedback from EBOR that they're worried about losing the historic look of the cars. Can you give us an update on that? And is it possible to find a hybrid that goes faster that has the historic look?
Oh, wow. I don't think a decision's been made by the city, who owns the system. By the way, you own the system and you're responsible for it. HART just operates it. They own the Canton area and the cars. So lots of people want to see the newer cars. If you've been in Portland or Seattle and ridden those, they're bigger, they're articulated, so they hold a lot more people. There is thought, if it's affordable, to replace most but not all of the cars we have now with newer cars, and to keep the original car that the Streetcar Society restored several years ago, and to keep perhaps the open-air breezer. But I don't think the decision's been made, frankly. New cars make sense. We picked the cars you see today because they look just like what used to run in the city when we had a 54-mile streetcar system. So I hope you'll have an opportunity to make your opinion known.
Mr. English, thank you very much for being here today. You and I have had many conversations about the streetcar, especially with the YCDC. What some people do not realize is that there are certain CRAs within the city of Tampa that are contributing to the streetcar.
Yes.
I know that YCD 1 and 2 donated $150,000 annually.
That's
and there were
correct.
some years that they added an additional $50,000. What other CRAs within the city of Tampa are also contributing to the operations of the streetcar?
Thank you, Mr. Citro. We receive $150,000 from each of the 3 CRAs through which the streetcar runs. So the downtown CRA, combination of CRAs, the Channel District CRA, and the EBOR CRA areas.
So you would say that it's great tax dollars coming from the CRAs that are helping to support this?
Oh, it's been invaluable. You know, I mean, there was a point when our funding was really difficult to achieve. It still is, but we're also providing a lot more service. So the money's invaluable, and we've always really appreciated it.
Thank you very much, Mr. English.
Thank you.
Any other comments? No? I love the streetcar. I've always loved the streetcar. I'm glad to see that it's fare-free for the next few years because ridership has skyrocketed. I mean,
Yes.
you've seen the numbers. If I use it on a Friday evening to go from here to Ybor City, it's busy. It's packed with people either, going to dinner, going to another event in Ybor, or coming vice versa, coming from here to go down to Curtis Sixon or some other issue. Now, psychologically, being that there will be no fares for the next few years, people are, of course, using it more. The numbers are up. So when the fares do come back, whatever happens, they're already used to riding the streetcar. They see the benefits of the streetcar now that it's attracted a whole new audience. So, expanding it into Tampa Heights and further is great. Completing a circle, a loop, makes the most sense because what if you're at Armature Works? What if you're in, the Tampa Heights here and you want to go to the Columbia restaurant?
Exactly.
Instead of making the whole loop around, which is great and scenic and relaxing and air conditioned,
Right.
people want the convenience of it. Up until 1946, we had the 50+ miles of streetcar track all throughout the city. We had mass transit. We fight about it. We talk about it now. Light rail and all these other things. We had those things up until just after World War II, and along with many other cities, we pulled that system up and made way for automobiles and the tire companies, the great streetcar disappearance of the 1940s. And now we wish we wouldn't have done that.
Absolutely.
At least kept the tracks so we could, say, okay, if one day we want to go back to it. But it was completely cannibalized to make way for, driving personal vehicles and, of course, the interstate to get people around. So thank you for your service for so many years. We appreciate you, and that's that for me. Councilman Miranda and then Councilman Seeker.
Thank you very much. Again, thank you very much.
Sure.
For what you and your board have been doing. And when the streetcar was put on, it was put on ahead of its time.
Mm-hmm.
Because the three things: residents, residents, and residents. There was very few residents in downtown. And I think Buckhorn should say once in a while there was more in jail than people lived downtown because the jail was downtown. And Ybor City didn't have the residents it has now. And Tampa Heights was certainly residential, but not as popular as it is now and growing every day.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the three factors that I think that will make you, the streetcar, certainly much more reliable to continue on this journey to make it part of the transportation system, and I applaud you guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know that we talked about making a loop. I talked about going north of the interstate, but there are plenty of people in West Tampa that would really like it if you crossed the river. So please consider that in the future.
I understand. Thank you very much.
And historically, we did. It went through Columbus Drive between Howard and Armenia. I think
It went
was
everywhere,
like
yeah.
the westernmost point, and well, one day. I mean, of course, it costs a fortune. We laid it out in the late 1800s, and to rebuild a modern system of streetcar track like it used to be, would be astronomical. But little by little, we move up to the heights. Should we do that? And
Step by
we'll
step.
go from there. Yep. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, all of you.
Okay, have we moved the resolution yet?
We have to move to receive and file? No?
Okay, anybody else here for public comment on item 73?
Move the resolution.
Second.
Okay, motion by Councilman Dingfelder, a second by Councilman Maniscalco. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Pleasure of council with resolution on 73.
Move the resolution on 73.
Motion by Councilman Maniscalco, second by Councilman Dingfelder. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Move to close public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Miranda, second by Councilman Maniscalco. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
So elsewhere, the legal department, we're here for the West Shore Alliance item, and just as a reminder that you will have to approve the special assessment in the public hearing. There's a second item on there for the contract with them that you don't have to approve in the public hearing, but if you do, it's not a foot fault. So whatever way you want to do it is fine.
Thank you, sir.
And there is someone here from the Alliance to speak to you.
Good morning, Council. I will keep this brief. Ann Kulig, Executive Director of the West Shore Alliance, 3109 West Dr. MLK. Here this morning to ask for your support for the Special Services District for West Shore, and then I'll subsequently the agreement with the Alliance. Just a few notes, a reminder for you, this is the 18th year of the Special Services District. It applies for commercial properties only. We do not apply it to single-family residential. It's really those that benefit really in the commercial market to drive business to West Shore. There's been no change to the millage rate. It's 15 cents per $1,000. And we use the funds for three main things: transportation, a lot of transportation planning and small projects that are outside of the purview of things the city would do in the immediate future, security, projects in partnership with TPD, and then marketing for the district. I will keep it brief at that. We're happy to answer any questions that you have, and we would appreciate your support.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Thank you, ma'am. Anyone here from the public here to comment on item 74?
Move the resolution.
Okay, first receive and file.
First resolution.
Oh, first the resolution, okay. Councilman Miranda, we have a motion from Councilman Miranda. We have a second. Second by Councilman Maniscalco. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And then I guess to...
We can still move the resolution when it's open. The other, move the second resolution.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Miranda, second by Councilman Maniscalco. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Move to close public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Miranda, second by Councilman Maniscalco. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, next we move to item 75.
Chairman, I'd like to give 30 more minutes.
Yes, sir.
Second.
A motion by Councilman Miranda, second by Councilman Maniscalco. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion to open,
motion to open public hearings.
Move to open the public hearing.
Motion by
75
Councilman
to 79.
Maniscalco. Yes, sir.
Just point of order, sorry, Chairman. Realistically, looking at item 75, public hearing, review hearing, and then staff reports, realistically, a half hour and get to do it.
Yeah.
Would we be better off taking a lunch break and coming back? Because
Um,
otherwise, we're just gonna run through till
Okay.
2 or 3 o'clock.
That's well taken. How about we return at, is 12:40 okay with council and staff? 12:40 okay, or?
How about 1 o'clock?
1 o'clock, what the heck? Now, I have an important investiture I need to be at George Edgecombe at about 4 o'clock, need to be there by 3:50.
We'll make it happen.
Okay, I'll rely on
For a
that.
judge.
Chair,
Oh, hey, Judge.
I have a 10:30 hearing, I have a 1:30 hearing that I have to be at, is there a way to call up 77? Item
Yeah, for-
77?
What's that
I
for?
don't think it will take, but
Do you wish, Your Honor, do you wish to make what, public comment on it, or?
no, this is my personal property.
Maybe we can.
Yeah, we'll do that. With the pleasure of council, okay to move with 77?
If we could, Chair, we're going to continue 75. I just need to request a continuance.
Okay, we'll move on that really fast. For 75, any objection from council?
No. What date?
Continuance?
September 19th.
Move to September,
Second.
continue September 19th.
Thank you.
And
At 10:30 in the morning.
anyone here from the public to comment on the continuance in 75 alone?
Shirley,
Okay,
somebody want to swear us in?
we have a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
No.
Okay, so out of deference to Your Honor, we will go with 77. Is everybody here okay to continue with 77? Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Okay, 77 moves forward.
Thank you, I appreciate you finishing that.
Good morning, still for 2 more minutes. Council, Kristen Moore, Legal Department. This is an appeal of a zoning administrator decision. I have passed out to you the procedures for that hearing, and there are sample motions for you as well. I am available if you have any questions.
And before we go forward, Mr. Shelby.
Yes.
Judge Polo is a judge here in the 13th Judicial Circuit. I'm part of a law firm with about 100 attorneys, some of whom may appear before her, and so I'm inquiring on the issue of conflict. It is inevitable that we have a case before Judge Polo.
Well, let me ask you this. Given what you know, are you able to be fair and impartial and render your decision upon the evidence, competent substantial
Oh,
evidence
absolutely,
of the
yeah,
hearing?
sure.
Is there any objection?
From the parties?
From the parties? Are there any objections from the parties?
Is that something that stains the record, so to speak? Or?
Ms. Moore, do you have a position or an opinion one way or the other on this matter? Do you have a sense? Because this is a case of first impression to me.
Well, I will say that when I started in 2017, I was first on the family law bench for 2 years, and now I'm on the criminal bench, so I don't think
So
that
I
I have an
doubt-
opportunity for you
Yeah.
to come before me.
And
So
you have
it's
no
probably-
I've never gotten to do this. Your Honor, you have no objection.
No.
Thank you.
Just, okay, good. I'm fine. I was just making sure.
I know, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Sustained. No objections.
Hi, good morning, Eric Cotton, or good afternoon, Eric Cotton, Planning and Development. This is a petition for review for a denied special use permit. It was SU 1-1908 for a property at 408 West Louisiana Avenue. The property is located in Seminole Heights, which is, and the site highlighted in red is the property in question. And then I'll go into the request. So the applicant is asking for an accessory dwelling unit, which is a special use within the Seminole Heights zoning district. Within the district, one of the requirements is when you have a garage, it has to be set back 7 feet from the side property line. Their request is placing it at 3 feet. In the administrative processes, when you have an administrative request, we can't, at staff level, grant any kind of waivers. So when an applicant asks for a waiver to the code, we have to administratively deny the request. The applicant then has a right to come before City Council and ask for a petition for review and ask for the waiver to be granted. So basically, the waiver is the reason for the denial was this has to be 7 feet. The request is only 3 feet. And as a result, the request is denied on our level.
Yeah, I'll wait until he's done, but I had a question.
Just real quick, this is the subject property. This is the property that's across the street from it. This is the property next door, 406 West Louisiana. And must be on the other side. This is the property on the other side. On the other side, the structure. I do have a view there on an alley, or this is the rear view of the subject property. Does the board, does council have any questions for me?
Any
regarding the
questions?
request?
Councilman Dingfeld.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate all your hard work over the years. If can you go back with the proposed site plan?
Yes, sir.
If that was a garage, one-story garage, okay, not a dwelling unit, would it be allowed at 3 feet?
In Seminole Heights, the answer would be no. Section 27211.21 in the table that talks about accessory structures that are not a garage, that are just a shed, a outbuilding, 1-story, 2-story, just a building itself without a garage, required setback is 3 feet. The language in there, if it's a garage or a carport, then it has to be 7 feet. So if this was not a garage on the first floor, if the whole thing was a structure without having a garage and ability to park, the applicant would not be before you.
So what would be an example of something that's not a garage and not a dwelling unit?
In the same kind of situation, if they would have put the accessory dwelling unit on the top and the bottom was a workshop for woodworking or painting or whatever people would do on the outside
So
of the house.
the same mass, the same size.
Correct, yes.
The same thing that would be allowed.
We've talked about doing a code amendment, it just has not come before council for a processing of an amendment to that section.
Amendment going what direction?
Bringing it back down to 3 feet, because throughout the city, typical accessory structure setbacks are 3 feet.
Okay. So you've given a little inkling of how staff might feel about it, if not constrained.
I have no opinion on it about the fact that the way the code is.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else?
Yes, sir.
What I understood, what you said, maybe I misunderstood, but between the words, you did deny it just because it was against the fact.
Correct.
That it was not lawful.
Yes, sir.
However, this is lawful in other parts of the city.
To the point of, Seminole Heights has some certain issues, including the height and the mass is greater than in other parts of the city. If this was in an RS 75 zoning district, the height limitation would be 15 feet. They would have come before the Variance Review Board to get the additional height. Seminole Heights allows it to go to 2 stories and allows it to be up to 950 square feet.
Okay, and during the hearing, was any objections?
From the original application, I don't believe we received any objections to it.
Thank you very much.
Councilman Sidgwick.
Mr. Cotton, the structure directly to the south that on Osborne and the structure directly to the west, are those either one of those garages or are those just accessory structures?
I honestly do not know what the use is. This is a 2-story structure across the alley. This is a 1-story structure. The applicant, well, the judge will probably be able to answer that question for you.
Was there any interference because of the tree as to where the location of this structure
Well, that's probably the reason why it was pushed over to the point where it was.
Thank you.
To do that and to provide the backup space is 24 feet. So you have to meet some of that stuff.
Thank you, Ms. Scott.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anything else?
Unless y'all have something for me.
Okay,
No.
thank you, sir.
Do you want the site plan?
Hi, I'm Angie Britton with the Eva Claire Corporation, and I'm the general contractor representing Judge Polo. And as Eric mentioned, the reason for the design.
Ma'am, were you going to say something?
The reason for the design and the reason for the placement is simply because we needed the backup space for the 24 feet from the other property owner's lot line, and then that tree poses a problem, which is why we have to encroach on that existing setback.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Okay, thank you very much. Anything further in your opening?
I'd like to add that they did
And
send me.
ma'am, if you could state your name,
Sure,
please.
Melissa Polo. That they did give me an approval letter before they gave me a denial letter. In addition, this is on an alley that is non-working, so my options were to go through this route or try to vacate the alleyway. which I didn't opt for the second part.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay. Is there anyone here from the public who would wish to comment on item 77?
Chairman, I move to close item.
Second.
We have a motion to close by Councilman Miranda, second by Councilman Citro. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, what is the pleasure of council?
Chairman.
Councilman,
Go ahead.
it was the tie. Go ahead.
Chairman, I move on item number 77, file number 2019-8-27. I move to reverse the zoning administrator's denial of special use permit application SU 1-19-08 because petitioner has demonstrated that the petition, if the waivers were granted, is consistent with the applicable general standards of sections 27-129 and 27-132. And also you can see sections of 2761B, 27-127B-2, and the facts that there was other, things that were, the alley certainly can be vacated and the tree can be saved.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Miranda, second by Councilman Citro. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Okay, gentlemen, we will recess until 1 o'clock.